Phoenix Knights. Chapter 5245. Wei Zhong looked coldly at Zichen. Zichen looked at Wei Zhong indifferently, not giving in at all. The other party's arrival this time was extremely overbearing, and Zichen had been tolerating him. This time he had gone overboard and asked for Su Mengyao, which had already touched Zichen's bottom line. "Have you forgotten what I said earlier?" Wei Zhong gave a disdainful look. "Do what I ask you to do, otherwise you have to die." Zichen replied coldly. "I can do other things but not this kind of thing. You want to die?" Wei Zhong released his own aura, which was a 5th stage Annihilation Realm cultivator. Okon was slightly worried. The current Zichen was definitely not the other party's match, and if he couldn't swallow this down, there was a possibility that he would be besieged by the Pure Land Alliance. To tell the truth, to Okon, lowering one's head in this situation was actually a form of wisdom. "What is this called?" Wei Luo and the rest were speechless. When they were dealing with the hybrid demons and the ancestral beasts, they didn't see anyone from the Pure Land Alliance. "Now that we've resolved the crisis, you guys came? The first thing you asked for was this Pure Land, and when you realized you couldn't control it, you actually asked for women. How was this an alliance? They were obviously bandits." Zichen replied solemnly. "This is my bottom line." "Haha." Wei Zhong was amused. "Bottom line, you're just a 1st stage realm cultivator. What bottom line do you have?" He stretched out his hand and pointed at Zichen's nose. "Let me tell you, I will be staying here for the rest of my life. Every woman here will come to accompany me in different ways every night until I'm bored. Only then will I leave." Zichen narrowed his eyes, and there was a murderous intent in his eyes. But he didn't lose his rationality and suppressed his anger. "So the Pure Land Alliance can have no rules? The rules are set by me, don't you think so?" Wei Zhong replied disdainfully. "If it wasn't for the fact that you're of some use, I would have slapped you to death. So I'll give you a piece of advice: don't be ungrateful. It's your fortune that I can stay here." Zichen clenched his fists. "Why, you still want to make a move? Come on, let's see if you dare to attack me." Wei Zhong pointed at Zichen's nose. "If you dare to move, I will wash this place with blood and leave no one alive." Everyone's eyes were on fire. The atmosphere became very tense. If Zichen gave the order, everyone would probably rush forward regardless of whether they could fight or not. At this moment, everyone was waiting for Zichen's orders. "Come on, brat, I'm waiting for you to make your move. Don't be a coward. Attack if you can." Wei Zhong was still clamoring. However, this scene caused Haydn and the others to recall the scene when Zichen had first arrived here. At that time, Jialei also shouted like this, and in the end, he died. Facing Wei Zhong's overbearing attitude, Zichen narrowed his eyes as boundless killing intent surged within him. Right at this moment, a voice sounded. "Young master, let me do it." It was Miao Miao. She walked out and smiled. "I'm very good at serving people." Zichen shook his head. Miao Miao smiled. "Young master, it's fine. We have to look at the big picture." Zichen continued to shake his head. His eyes were firm. His bottom line was untouchable. Because if he retreated, he would retreat again. "All right, both of you will serve me tonight. Otherwise, I'll wash this place with blood." Wei Zhong pointed at Miao Miao and Su Mengyao. "Buzz!" A tyrannical aura emerged. A strong wind blew in all directions and shook everyone away. Only Zichen and Wei Zhong were left in the field. "Not good!" When Okon saw this scene, his expression changed immediately. Zichen was going to make a move forcefully. One must know that he was only at the 1st level of Dharma Extermination Realm, while his opponent was at the 5th level. The gap between both parties was too big. Monk and the others had murderous intent surging in their eyes. They didn't mind going forward to fight. Zichen stretched out his hand. "Don't come over. You've got guts," Wei Zhong said with disdain. "Why? You want to fight with me? Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? Do you have the strength and ability to do so?" Zichen said indifferently. "The Pure Land Alliance should be a force to protect the Pure Land, not to seize by force. Don't go too far. Are you teaching me how to behave? Wei Zhong sneered. Then I'm going too far. What can you do to me? Let me tell you, I'll wash this place with blood. Only these women will be left for me to enjoy. Zichen exhaled. Since they couldn't come to an agreement, then they could only fight. Buzz! The aura of a first-level realm was released. After Wei Zhong sensed this aura, his expression became more and more disdainful. Swoosh! Zichen rushed forward. Murderous intent surged in his eyes. Then you can go to hell! A fist smashed down. Looking at this light fist, Wei Zhong said disdainfully, Just this? But at the next moment, his expression was restrained. In front of Zichen's fist, an array seal appeared, magnifying the power of his fist. Boom! Like a thunderclap, Wei Zhong's figure slid back. Just a first-level realm, and you can push me back. Interesting. He released his own aura. This pure land began to tremble as if it could collapse at any time. Heaven and earth shook, and the surroundings were like earth bowls rolling. The underground formations all lit up, stabilizing this pure land. I can make this pure land collapse just by using my aura. What are you going to use to fight me? He mocked in disdain. The pure land was already at the edge of its limit. Zichen knew very well that it couldn't hold on for too long. So, he had to end this quickly. He stomped his foot, and the pure land's power began to converge towards Zichen. This was the first time he mobilized the pure land's power to fight against an enemy. His realm didn't change, but his aura was soaring rapidly. Next, under the shocked gaze of the crowd, Zichen showed them the power and terror of the array seal. Buzz! With a wave of his hand, an array seal appeared in the sky, occupying a huge space and rotating in the sky. Countless rays of light fell like raindrops, landing on Zichen's body. Zichen borrowed the power of the pure land, and his already powerful aura soared again. At the same time, Wei Zhong, who was under the array, had his 5th-degree realm aura suppressed to a certain extent. It was between the 4th and 5th-degree realm. His realm was about to drop. His expression changed for the first time. Die! Zichen punched out. The array seal in front of him appeared again, and this time there were 3 of them. When the fist light passed through the array seal one after another, the aura was magnified infinitely. Wei Zhong felt threatened. With a loud shout, he smashed his fist down. Dong! Zichen's infinitely magnified fist light immediately dissipated. At this moment, the murderous intent appeared again. The slaughter spirit had arrived. It was still enhanced. Wei Zhong's face was gloomy. First, he shattered the array in the sky with a punch, then he slapped the slaughter spirit. Puff! The slaughter spirit instantly pierced through his palm. Wei Zhong shouted, and his expression became more and more unpleasant. A 5th-degree realm cultivator was injured by a 1st-degree realm cultivator. If this were to spread, he would undoubtedly be treated as a joke. But then, a scene that made him tremble in fear appeared. Zichen glanced at Su Mengyao. Su Mengyao immediately understood. She took out the path sword and threw it to Zichen. Zichen caught the path sword, and the power core of the Annihilation Realm was instantly activated. It was like a big sun, shining with infinite light. The sword slashed down. Immediately, numerous spirit formations appeared around the sword light. Some were to enhance their own power, and some were to weaken the enemy. Countless formations dazzled everyone's eyes and astonished them. The sword light fell, and the arrays dispersed. Chapter 52-46. Wei Zhong's eyes widened as he stared at Zichen in disbelief. The surrounding abnormalities disappeared, and Zichen put away his Dao sword. Why did you do this? Isn't it good to be alive? You will regret it. Wei Zhong spoke word by word with great difficulty. Zichen said coldly. So what? You're still dead. Is it worth it? At this moment, Wei Zhong began to ask himself. He regretted it very much. If he had known that the other party had such strength, he would have restrained himself. It was one thing for him to get the woman who delivered herself to him. He really shouldn't have angered the other party. But now, he was killed by an unknown guy. Of course, he didn't expect that the other party, a mere first-level Dharma destroyer, would have such means. Once news of his death spread, he would definitely become a laughing stock. "I'll take your power core. I hope it can help me break through." Zichen walked in front of Wei Zhong, stretched out his hand, and gently pushed. Wei Zhong fell backward. Then, it was divided into two. Zichen said, "Take it out and turn it into a power core before returning." Monk immediately moved forward, carrying the two halves of the body and heading out of the Pure Land. In this battle, Zichen fought across 4 realms, letting everyone see how powerful and terrifying he was. However, no one was happy or excited. Because behind Wei Zhong was the Pure Land Alliance with countless powerhouses. Once the other party took revenge, no one would be able to survive. Zichen waved his hand and said, "Everyone disperse. Continue to cultivate and strive to break through as soon as possible." Everyone dispersed. Soon Monk ran back. He took out 2 small pieces of pure law crystals. Because Wei Zhong's body was divided into 2. After leaving the Pure Land, the laws would decompose on their own. It was just that the power core was not completely preserved, so the quality of these 2 small pieces was actually not as good as one. At the same time, Monk also took out a ring that contained Wei Zhong's things. Monk didn't touch it. Although he was greedy, he knew the severity of the matter. Killing Wei Zhong this time was already a big trouble. If he touched his things, it would be troublesome. Zichen took the ring and opened it. What entered his sight were law spirits. There were many of them, which should be his wealth. Apart from that, there was also a portion of law crystals. Zichen also saw the other party's alliance token. The unity symbol on it was very eye-catching. "I wonder how many people have been killed by such an alliance." Zichen didn't touch these things. Instead, he swept them with his soul power and found something that looked like a jade slip. Out of curiosity, he took it out. As he poured in his soul power, he saw a 3-dimensional image. This was a map stored in a jade slip, which recorded the positions of dozens of Pure Lands. The Pure Land Alliance was located in one of the largest Pure Lands. This Pure Land was a level 8 Pure Land. This meant that the master of the Pure Land was at least on the 8th level of the Law Destruction realm. Once the master came to settle the score, Zichen would have no chance of surviving. Perhaps, this Pure Land would be destroyed. Zichen thought about it, and decided to leave. This transmission array was clearly extraordinary. Zichen guessed that even if the Pure Land was destroyed, it would not disappear. Therefore, as long as he left, there would be no problem. However, after giving it some thought, Zichen gave up on the idea of leaving. If he left, what should the others do? Without seeing the main character, the other party would kill indiscriminately. The gains would not make up for the losses. Hence, Zichen started cultivating while the others continued to build this city. As long as they survived the crisis from the Pure Land Alliance this time, there would be no more problems with this Pure Land. In the process of waiting for the Pure Land Alliance to settle the score, Zichen kept refining the law crystals. But when he came here, he only obtained that little bit of law crystals. It was naturally not enough to break through. Hence, he refined that piece of law crystal that he obtained after killing Wei Zhong. That piece of crystal contained an extremely vast amount of energy. Zichen had to refine it for a few days before he was able to completely refine it. His cultivation increased by quite a bit, but he did not reach the 2nd stage realm. He was somewhat regretful. The people from the Pure Land Alliance did not come. Zichen, who had run out of resources, began to build this Pure Land. Another few days passed, but there was still no one from the Pure Land Alliance. Zichen's previous worry turned into resignation. Originally, he did not dare to touch Wei Zhong's spirit ring. Because of the lack of resources, Zichen was also somewhat moved. Another 3 days later, there was still no Pure Land Alliance people coming to denounce him. Zichen simply started to refine the various resources in the spirit ring. This situation continued for an entire month's time. A month later, the people from the Pure Land Alliance finally came. This time, it was 2 people. They did not report and walked straight in. Then they went straight into the depths. When Zichen saw these 2 people, there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. And these 2 people also looked at Zichen in surprise. It was none other than that middle-aged man he saw back then. The attendant beside him was only at the 9th level spirit realm back then. But today, he already reached the 2nd level of the Law Destruction realm. "You're actually still alive!" When the attendant saw Zichen, he was incomparably shocked. A hint of surprise also flashed across the middle-aged man's eyes. Facing the scene of a group of fiends besieging back then, he felt that the other party would definitely die. "You guys are from the Pure Land Alliance?" Zichen looked at the 2 people. "That's right, this is my family's Lord Yuan Huazhou," the attendant immediately said. Yuan Huazhou looked at Zichen. "Where's Wei Zhong?" Zichen said. "Dead." "What?" The attendant was taken aback. A hint of surprise also flashed across Yuan Huazhou's eyes. Yuan Huazhou was a 5th level Law Destruction. "How did he die?" Yuan Huazhou asked, his expression still calm. "I killed him," Zichen said. Compared to the attendant who turned pale with fright, Yuan Huazhou's expression was much calmer. "Why?" Zichen sighed and said. "I was forced to, so I killed him." He invited the 2 into the depths. After sitting down, Zichen took out 2 pots of wine to entertain the 2. The attendant stood at the side and did not go to the table. Zichen specially gave him another bottle of wine. After that, the 2 drank and talked about what happened back then. "We're new here and never take the initiative to cause trouble, so this time, there's no deception or exaggeration. If he didn't die, we would have to die." Hearing Zichen's words, even the attendant's expression did not look good. If that was the case, then Wei Zhong really deserved to die. Yuan Huazhou said. "The death of Wei Zhong is actually not a big deal to the Alliance. It's just that there's an extraordinary force behind Wei Zhong. I'm afraid they won't let it go," Zichen said. "This matter started because of me, so I'll bear the responsibility alone. I'll bear whatever punishment the Alliance gives. I only hope that the Alliance won't implicate my friends this time." Zichen was very helpless. It was obvious that the other party had done something wrong, but now he had to humble himself and admit his mistake. What was wrong? Chapter 5247. What was the purpose of the Pure Land Alliance's existence? Snatched by force? Zichen had doubts in his heart, but he couldn't ask now. He had already offended one, and the matter hadn't been resolved yet. He naturally didn't want to offend a second one. Yuan Huazhou frowned, which meant that this matter was very difficult to handle. Zichen waited quietly. He was like a fish on the chopping board. He could let the other party do whatever they wanted. "I remember that you weren't the master of the Pure Land last time. How did you become the master of the Pure Land now?" Yuan Huazhou suddenly asked. Zichen explained. "I have to start from the last time I came back." He knew what Yuan Huazhou really wanted to hear, so he started from the beginning when the hybrid demons invaded this place. The hybrid demons destroyed all the Pure Land nearby, and only Zichen's side was defended. Yuan Huazhou nodded. With Okon's strength, it was impossible to defend this place. But this wasn't what he wanted to hear. Zichen quickly got to the point. Okon gave the Pure Land to him, and he discovered the secret here. After opening it, there was a teleportation array. Yuan Huazhou had come here before and even used his soul power to investigate, but he didn't find the teleportation array. Zichen also told him the secret of the teleportation array. Wei Zhong didn't believe it back then and personally refined the core. The 2nd level Pure Land instantly dropped to 1st level. People had to lower their heads under someone else's roof. Zichen told him the truth without hiding anything. The attendant stood there and was very curious. He couldn't help but ask, "What exactly is your world?" Zichen thought for a moment and said, "Actually, this wasn't a wasteland originally." "Oh?" Yuan Huazhou was a little confused. This isn't a wasteland? Zichen nodded and said, This is the immortal spell world, the place where the true experts gather. People in our world can come here as long as they reach the first level of spirit cultivation. But countless years ago, the immortal spell world encountered some kind of danger, and the ascension passage was closed. We can't come here when we're at the first level of spirit cultivation. We can only come here when we're at the 9th level. Zichen pointed at his feet and said, Also, this passage is a one-way passage that was discovered recently. You can only come, but not return. It was obvious that this was the first time the two of them had heard of such a thing, and their expressions changed greatly. Zichen did not explain the situation of the 10,000 spirit world in detail. He only said that it was a low-level world. Although there was spirit chi in the world, it stopped at the 9th level of spirit cultivation. Yuan Huashou believed in this. Because in the place he sensed with his soul power, everyone was at the 9th level of spirit cultivation. In that case, you have quite a few 9th level spirit technique practitioners there? Zichen shook his head. Not much. After all, the energy of heaven and earth is limited, and the 9th level of spirit cultivation requires a large amount of energy of heaven and earth. Yuan Huazhou pondered for a moment before returning to the topic of Wei Zhong's death. A moment later Yuan Huazhou said, I can't guarantee how the higher-ups will deal with you. I can only say that I will try my best to put in a good word for you. After all, Wei Zhong was somewhat at fault. Zichen immediately cupped his fists and said, Thank you very much. Yuan Huazhou waved his hand and said, Don't thank me so early. I'm just trying my best. Whether or not I can help you is still a question. I still have to thank you, sir. If you have any instructions in the future, please feel free to let me know. Zichen cupped his fists again. I don't dare to have any instructions. Who knows if you, Zichen, will chop me up one day? Yuan Huazhou smiled. Zichen hurriedly said, How would Zichen dare to attack, sir? I don't even dare to have such thoughts. Yuan Huazhou smiled and said, I'm just joking with you. Don't be so serious. But on my side, sometimes I do need some people to do things. Of course I'll pay them. Zichen said. If sir needs it, I'll personally go and do things for you. That's not necessary. When the time comes, just send a few people. All right, I won't stay here any longer. Your wine is really not bad. If you can go back and forth to your world, just by doing this business, you can make a fortune. Yuan Huazhou stood up and prepared to leave. Seeing this, Zichen hurriedly took out over 20 jars of wine. Yuan Huazhou rejected it. Zichen could only pass the wine to the attendant beside him. You're too enthusiastic. I can't refuse it. The attendant accepted it with a smile. It's a token of my appreciation. Zichen was also smiling. He personally sent the two of them away. After leaving the Pure Land, he sent them a few miles away. After that, he watched the two figures disappear. From beginning to end, the other party did not take out the token of the Pure Land Alliance to prove his identity. Zichen also did not dare to ask. After the two left, the attendant said, Sir, Wei Zhong was indeed in the wrong this time. Why didn't you say that you could help? Yuan Huazhou said. After returning, I'll naturally speak up for him. The attendant nodded. Yuan Huazhou said, You want to ask why I didn't say it clearly, right? The attendant nodded again. Yuan Huazhou smiled and said, That world, although it's one way, it's actually a big piece of fat meat for us. I can't just come over and take a bite. After all, there's a lot of meat. What's wrong with sharing some with everyone? The attendant seemed to understand. Those who came up from there are all at the 9th level of spirit technique. Although this realm isn't high, it's definitely not low. Yuan Huazhou had rare patience and explained. You said that if we find a group of people like this, even if we encounter some extreme events, even if we use our lives, we can still hold on for a period of time. The attendant's eyes lit up. Sir means that they are all cannon fodder? Yuan Huazhou smiled slightly. It's right to call them cannon fodder, but it's also fine to call them warriors. In a world full of cannon fodder warriors, do you think it's useful? The attendant clapped his hands and said, "Great, it's really too great. Sir's move is too wonderful. Leaving Zichen alive, he will continuously provide us with cannon fodder warriors in the future." Zichen walked back to the Pure Land. Just as he entered the room, Su Mengyao came. She glanced at Zichen and didn't even say a word. Zichen knew what she wanted to ask, shook his head and said, "The situation is not good. He treats us as cannon fodder." Zichen could understand what Yuan Huazhou said before he left. The people here were all at the 9th level of spirit technique. To most existences, they were already incredible experts. They will definitely come again. Zichen said helplessly. They probably won't kill me, but it might not be the case for the others. What do you plan to do? Su Mengyao looked at Zichen. Wait for those inspectors to come up and see if this is the immortal spell world. Zichen paused and said, "Other than that, try to break through as soon as possible. If there's really no other way, we can only let everyone leave here and go out to explore. If we can make a name for ourselves, we can take care of each other in the future." Zichen sighed. He didn't expect that after coming to the immortal spell world, the greatest danger wasn't the existence of other races. It was the spirit race. Zichen looked at Su Mengyao. You all should also seize the time to cultivate and try to break through as soon as possible. Su Mengyao nodded and left. Chapter 52-48. The Pure Land Alliance was enough to make Zichen feel anxious and uneasy. Especially when he guessed that the people from the Pure Land Alliance would use a blunt knife to deal with him, he felt even more uneasy. It was not that he was afraid of death. On the contrary, the people from the Pure Land Alliance would not kill him. But his friends and other people from the 10,000 spirit world would be treated as cannon fodder. Zichen had been a cannon fodder before and knew the danger, so he was even more unwilling to let others be cannon fodder. Okon was stunned. To be honest, his knowledge was not much more than Zichen. For many years, he, who was only at the first level of the Dharma extermination realm, had always been in his own territory. Otherwise, he would not be at the first level of the Dharma extermination realm until now. Zichen was also helpless. It seemed that other than Okon, he had no one else to ask. Okon said, "As far as I know, there are two ways. One is to find a pure land, the other is to hunt for the ancestor beast." Zichen also knew these two ways, but how difficult was it to find a pure land? Hunting for the ancestor beast was one way. Is there a faster way? Okon thought for a moment and said, "Or you can become a plunderer?" A plunderer would directly plunder a pure land, so the harvest would naturally be very fast. Zichen directly rejected this idea. For his own pure land, he could not destroy other people's pure land. If he did that, then what was the difference between him and the Pure Land Alliance's Wei Zhong? However, Zichen thought of the few pure lands nearby that had just fallen. What if he took them down? After all, the hybrid demons were in charge now. Yes, if you can take down the few pure lands nearby, you won't lack the resources to break through the realm. Okon also thought of this point and said excitedly, "At that time you can sell the pure lands. Is there anyone who wants to buy them?" Zichen asked. "Yes," Okon said. "You can sell them at the Leichi Pure Land." Zichen thought for a moment. Based on his current strength, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill a third-level hybrid demon. But what if the Yimo controlling the Pure Land had a higher cultivation? Moreover, the other party also had the power of the Pure Land. In addition, after Zichen conquered the Pure Land, he still needed to sell it. Who knew how long this process would take? The benefits were not great, but the risks were not small. Zichen thought about it and decided to give up. Then he could only go and hunt for ancestral beasts. If he found one at the third level of the destruction of Dharma, he could kill and refine it. Having figured this out, Zichen asked Okon where there were more ancestral beasts, and where their cultivation levels were high enough. Okon told him to go to the wasteland. That was an ancient battlefield that was currently occupied by the ancestral beast. There had always been a rumor that the ancestral beast was born there. Outside the wasteland, there was an uninvited guest. An ancestral beast at the 8th level of spirit technique already had a physical body. They stared coldly at the astrals before them. 1, 2, 3. Zichen's gaze swept across them. There were a total of 8 ancestral beasts. Compared to the outside world, there were indeed more ancestral beasts here. At the very least, this was the first time he encountered 8 ancestral beasts gathered together. They were closing in, their eyes cold. Zichen reached out and clenched his fist. In the next moment, like an arrow leaving the bow, he charged straight for the ancestral beasts ahead. A boom sounded. Thunder rumbled. After several breaths, Zichen stood indifferently. The 8 ancestral beasts fell one after another, their bodies decomposing into bones, leaving behind 8 lights of law. Picking up the lights of law on the ground, Zichen continued forward. He came to the wasteland. The surroundings were desolate, bones everywhere. One after another, ancestral beasts appeared among the bones. Following the appearance of Zichen, those ancestral beasts appeared and charged towards Zichen. Zichen looked at these ancestral beasts and took a deep breath. He stomped his foot. Boom! The ground shook, a wave of air spread out. Zichen's figure soared into the sky, then landed heavily among the ancestral beasts. The air wave continued to roll, wrapping around countless bones. The ancestral beasts seemed to have gone mad, pouncing towards Zichen. Zichen's body lit up, his power core was activated. He punched. A sharp whistling sound echoed in the air. This punch carried immense power. Bam! The ancestral beast was sent flying by the punch, its body rolling far away. After falling to the ground, it turned into bones. Following that, Zichen punched again and again. Banging sounds could be heard as the ancestral beasts were sent flying one after another. But this was the wasteland. There wasn't much else, but there were plenty of ancestral beasts. After Zichen sent a dozen ancestral beasts flying, another group of ancestral beasts came from all directions. Against this intruder, they weren't polite at all. They pounced forward. In the blink of an eye, they filled up Zichen's surroundings. Seeing this, Zichen retracted his fist. He stomped his foot again. 1. A huge formation spread out from under Zichen's feet, covering an area of several dozen meters. Above the formation, a strong light shone. The ancestral beasts that were illuminated by the light suddenly slowed down. It was as if someone had changed the flow of time here, causing their movements to become slow. Zichen wasn't affected. 1. Ripples surged, and the slaughter spirit appeared. Like a bolt of lightning, it quickly swam around Zichen. Pooh! 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 Wherever the slaughter spirit passed, the ancestral beasts' heads were pierced one after another. Before they could reach Zichen, they fell to the ground and turned into bones. For a time, Zichen's surroundings were filled with the light of law. Such a terrifying slaughter method scared the ancestral beasts behind out of their wits, and they began to retreat one by one. After a while, no more ancestral beasts dared to step forward. Zichen began to collect the light of law on the ground. Although their levels weren't high, there were a lot of them. After collecting, he sat on the ground and began to refine them. One after another, the light of law disappeared in front of Zichen. While replenishing his consumption, he increased his strength. After the light of law was exhausted, Zichen continued to go deeper. There were many ancestral beasts here. Zichen came to the nest and soon encountered an ancestral beast of the law extermination realm. This was his main purpose of coming here. His figure rushed forward like a meteorite, crashing into an ancestral beast. Boom! The ancestral beast was sent flying. Zichen's speed didn't decrease. When the other party fell to the ground, he punched again. Another rumble sounded. This was repeated 3 times. The first-level law extermination realm ancestral beast fell to the ground, dead. It left behind a piece of law crystal. Seeing this piece of law crystal, Zichen's eyes lit up. After picking it up, he continued to move forward. After obtaining 5 pieces, he sat cross-legged and began to refine them. This process repeated. During this period, Zichen kept going deeper and gradually encountered a second-level law extermination realm existence. Kill! After that, it was the third level. After a battle, he used the slaughter spirit to kill. Over and over again. He kept refining. Finally, at a certain moment, Zichen's strength reached a critical point. 1. A powerful aura was released from his body. The surrounding space was distorted, and the ground under his feet was shaking. Zichen broke through. Chapter 52-49. A tyrannical aura spread out in all directions, and an abnormality appeared between heaven and earth. Zichen had broken through. It hadn't been long since the last time he broke through. All of this stemmed from the endless supply of resources. After sensing this aura, the surrounding ancestral beasts all prostrated themselves on the ground. No matter where they were, the strong would always be respected. Zichen withdrew his aura. In this place, there were enough ancestral beasts, so it could be considered an endless supply of resources. Now that he had broken through, what if he continued? Zichen had the thought of not wanting to leave. After all, going to other places might not have as many resources as here. At this moment, an ancestral beast appeared in front of him. It stood on a high ground, looking down at Zichen below. Zichen looked at the other party and immediately extended his soul power to test the other party's strength. In the next moment, Zichen's expression changed slightly. Because he couldn't sense the other party's aura. Could it be just an ordinary ancestral beast? But why wasn't the other party in the form of a skeleton? You have broken through, you can leave. At this moment, that existence suddenly spoke. There was still no aura fluctuation, but this time, Zichen didn't dare to think that the other party was just an ordinary existence. Zichen cupped his fists at the other party, then turned around and left. Obviously, the other party had noticed him long ago, but didn't stop him until now. After leaving the wasteland, Zichen's next target was the nearby Pure Lands. He didn't expect to be able to sell the cores of those Pure Lands, but as long as he killed the mantis demons guarding them, he would be able to gain a lot. Zichen took out the map from Wei Zhong and found the location of the nearby Pure Lands. They were quite far away from here. Zichen, who was moving forward, saw a team of 6. This was a team of adventurers, and their goal was the wasteland. After seeing Zichen from afar, their faces immediately had a hint of vigilance, looking at Zichen warily. Zichen had already noticed them. When they were still 1,000 feet away, he stopped and said, "You guys are going to the wasteland, right?" Everyone's expression became more and more vigilant, but they still nodded. Zichen smiled and said, "I advise you not to go there. Don't go there for at least a month." The expressions of these people changed, and they were somewhat skeptical. "Why?" A young man among them plucked up his courage and asked. Zichen said, "Because I just walked out of there." This sentence made the few people somewhat puzzled. However, they did not dare to refute and could only stand there. Zichen continued to move forward. This was a kind reminder. As for whether they would listen or not, it was all up to them. After Zichen left, the young man who had spoken earlier said, "How about we go back?" "Retreat my ass! Who does he think he is? He just came out of the wasteland and we can't go in. What kind of logic is this? Does the wasteland belong to their family?" One of the tall men had a dissatisfied look on his face. The young man said, "I think he's kindly reminding us that there might be some great danger inside." Danger my ass. If there was really danger, would he be able to come out? The other party was clearly disdainful. The other 4 also nodded, agreeing with the man's idea. Thus, the group continued to walk deeper. Along the way, the young man was still somewhat worried. Do we really not need to be more careful? Vader, if you're afraid, just back out. It's always been the 5 of us. If you didn't pester us to follow, we wouldn't have brought you along. The man was dissatisfied. That's right, Vader. You think too highly of yourself. If Luoeo didn't speak up for you back then, do you think we would have brought you here? The few people beside him also expressed their dissatisfaction to the young man. The young man said no more. The group entered the wasteland and did not find any ancestral beasts. See? There's not a single ancestral beast. Luoyao said. Now, I have reason to suspect that the person from before had evil intentions. Perhaps he found a great opportunity here and went out to find it, so he deliberately let us leave. The four nodded, but the young Vader was still skeptical. They walked past the depression, and Luoyao continued. We haven't seen a single one until now. I'm sure that guy just now has evil intentions. However, just as he finished speaking, many ancestral beasts appeared in the surroundings. They surrounded the depression from above and stared coldly at the few of them. Previously, there had been none. Not good. The young man's expression changed drastically. The other five were the same. Damn it, that guy was right. Luoyao gritted his teeth and said, but he knew there was danger, yet he didn't warn us. His intentions are murderous. Enough. The young man's expression was very ugly. If it weren't for your stubbornness, we wouldn't have fallen to this state. What did you say? Luoyao glared at Vader. Wasn't he deliberately not warning us directly? I'm too lazy to argue with you about who's right and who's wrong. The most important thing now is to... However, before he could finish speaking, a sharp blade suddenly pierced Vader's waist. You! Vader turned his head and looked at Luoyao in disbelief. That guy wants us dead. Since you're speaking up for him, then you can die in our place. Pulling out the sharp blade, Luoyao motioned for them to retreat. The next moment, a seal appeared in his hand. He immediately triggered the seal. A formation appeared from under their feet and directly enveloped them. Luoyao laughed sinisterly. Next, it's up to you to restrain them. The ancestral beasts smelled blood, and their eyes gradually turned cruel. Teleportation talisman formation! Vader looked at the formation under their feet, and a cruel smile suddenly appeared at the corners of his mouth. Originally, I wanted to save you once. Since you want me to die, then don't blame me for being ruthless. He waved his hand, and a ray of light flew out and landed above the heads of the five people. Hum! Immediately, a powerful pressure fell upon them, and the formation beneath their feet immediately collapsed. The sinister smile on their faces immediately disappeared, and their eyes were filled with anger and fear. Without the teleportation formation, they had no choice but to die. You want to die with us? Luoyao gritted his teeth, his eyes full of unwillingness. You think you're worthy? The light in Vader's hand flashed again. It was a bright jade talisman that immediately enveloped his body. The next moment, Vader disappeared. Everyone, never again. Only the sound could be heard in this depression. Vader, I want you dead. Luoyao roared, but it was useless. The ancestral beasts above the depression immediately flew down. Miserable screams resounded through the desolate land. The first Pure Land Zichen went to was called the Great Luan Pure Land. When Zichen arrived, the Pure Land was already in ruins, and there wasn't a single Ling inside. The hybrid demons occupied this place. He walked in. When the hybrid demons sensed Zichen's arrival, they immediately attacked Zichen. Pft. 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 Chapter 5250. The hybrid demons had occupied this place. The spirit clan members from before had either died or fled. There was not a single one left. Now Zichen had arrived. The nightmare of the hybrid demons had arrived. Poof! 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 No hybrid demon could get close to Zichen. One by one they fell. After they died because of the Pure Land, their corpses did not turn into bones directly. Who dares to behave atrociously in the demon territory? A cold voice rang from afar. A spell annihilation realm hybrid demon flew over from the depths. When he saw Zichen, a cold murderous intent flashed past his eyes. A mere second-level spell annihilation realm cultivator dares to behave atrociously here. You're simply courting death. He charged towards Zichen and punched out. A rank 1 Yimo felt that he had the ability to fight against a rank 2 spellcaster. 1! The space trembled. This punch was extremely powerful. Zichen stood on the spot and did not move. He only looked at that hybrid demon. A trace of mockery flashed across his indifferent face. He stomped his feet. 1! An array appeared under his feet, forming a resistance. The hybrid demon's speed dropped significantly. 1! The array appeared again. This time, it appeared above the hybrid demon's head. Countless light rain fell, carrying a terrifying pressure. It landed on the hybrid demon's body, as though 1,000 caddies of force was pressing down on him. The hybrid demon's footsteps started to stagger. The attack that he had accumulated was no longer stable. Following that, the third array appeared, forming an even more terrifying gravitational force. This first-level spell Annihilation Realm hybrid demon fell in front of Zichen with a thud. He could not move at all. He did not die. He was just unable to move from the pressure. His eyes widened, filled with disbelief. How could a mere second-level spell Annihilation Realm cultivator have such means? Zichen walked up and stepped on his head. Energy vibrated and the hybrid demon's body trembled. After that, he stopped moving. Dead. Behind him, the few first-level hybrid demons' expressions changed when they saw this. Their eyes were filled with terror as they started to retreat slowly. The other party did not even move and had already killed one of his companions. This showed that he had extraordinary battle power. A cold light flashed in Zichen's eyes. You want to leave? In the sky, an even larger formation appeared, covering an area of 1,000 feet in radius. Then, countless sword lights fell from above. The hybrid demons shouted and used their power cores to try to block the sword light. But it was useless. The sword light carried terrifying power and broke through their defenses one after another, piercing through their bodies. Within the Pure Land, the moment the mantis demons caught sight of this, they began to flee frantically. It was obvious that an incredible expert had arrived. They fled the Pure Land and fled madly. Right at this moment, a beam of light suddenly appeared. It was Vader. He used an extremely precious jade talisman to escape from the wasteland. It randomly appeared in this place. Looking at the mantis demons around him, his expression changed greatly. He thought to himself, could it be that I just left the wolf's den and entered the tiger's den? However, he soon discovered that these mantis demons were fleeing in fear. Did something happen inside? He looked at the Pure Land in front of him, his eyes flashing. When he was following Luoyao, he had also heard that the nearby Pure Land had been occupied by the mantis demons. It seemed that only one Pure Land was barely holding on. Originally, they were going to pass by that Pure Land, but halfway there, Luoyao said that it must have fallen after such a long time. Hence, they traveled day and night, heading directly to the wasteland. If it were any other time, he would definitely leave. It was better not to go to such a dangerous place. However, he had just experienced a life and death situation, which made him feel indignant. Taking out a ray of light to treat his wounds, Vader walked towards the Pure Land in front of him. Some mantis demons saw him, but they all thought that he was in cahoots with the people inside, so they did not dare to stay. Vader walked into the Pure Land without any obstruction. Then, he saw a scene that shocked him. In front of him, there was a formation diagram that was more than 1,000 feet long. At the center of the formation diagram stood a person. After seeing that person's back, Vader recognized him. It was the person who had kindly warned them. Then, the formation diagram shone and released attacks, killing a group of mantis demons. Those mantis demons had tyrannical auras and were definitely not something he could fight against. So strong? Vader was completely stunned. The formation in the sky dispersed, and all the mantis demons were dead. You don't know death! An angry roar came from the depths. It was a second-stage mantis demon of annihilation who charged out. Both sides punched each other, and the second-stage mantis demon was sent flying. Then, Vader saw a total of 5 arrays appear around the second-stage Yimo, firmly suppressing it. How is this possible? Vader was shocked again. Although he was still not at the law extermination realm, he knew very well how difficult it was to condense a spirit formation seal. Many people might only have one spirit array seal in their entire lives. However, the scene before his eyes overturned his worldview. A person could actually condense so many formation seals with just a wave of his hand. Moreover, the effects were very different, and there was no trace to follow. Under the suppression of the 5 formations, that person stepped forward and took the mantis demon's life with a punch. After killing the second stage mantis demon, Zichen finally attracted the attention of the Pure Land Master. The other party soared into the sky. This was the power given to him by the Pure Land. He stood in the air and thrust his palm forward. The Pure Land shook. The pressure of the Pure Land immediately suppressed Zichen. The other party clearly saw how powerful Zichen was and directly used the power of the Pure Land. Vader, who was standing far away, felt his heart tighten at this moment. Would that person be able to resist? At this moment, the other party formed a seal with both hands. A strong light appeared in front of them. It was the seal of a spell formation. It shone with an extremely bright light. 1. The formation seal expanded in the sky, stirring up ripples. Then, the light fell, forming a space. It protected the other party. The power that belonged to the Pure Land was completely isolated by this space. Could this be the long-lost ultimate skill? Formation domain? Vader's eyes widened, filled with disbelief. That person seemed to have opened up a domain that belonged to him in this Pure Land, so that the power of the Pure Land could not invade. All along, the Pure Land Master had the title of being invincible. The general idea was that as long as he was in the Pure Land, he would be invincible in the same realm. Unless it was in existence with a much higher realm that could suppress the Pure Land Master with pure realm means, there was no way to do anything to him. However, the appearance of the formation domain broke this pattern. It greatly reduced the advantage of the Pure Land Master. In front, Zichen blocked the suppression of the Pure Land's power and formed another seal. Another formation appeared and went straight for the Mantis Demon. The strong light shone and landed on the Mantis Demon. Vader suddenly felt the pressure lighten, as if the suppression of the Pure Land had disappeared. No, it didn't disappear. Chapter 52-51. Vader was stunned. The reason why the lost seals were lost was because they were too powerful. Various forces fought over them, and everyone was secretive about it. Gradually it was lost. Vader only knew about it through some special channels. Never would he have thought that he would be able to see a long-lost spirit formation here. It was an array domain that could resist the power of the Pure Land, as well as an array that could deprive the power of the Pure Land. In this way, that third-degree realm existence was equivalent to an ordinary hybrid demon. But the other party was still powerful. Then, a cold light flashed past. That third-degree hybrid demon widened his eyes and fell. Vader also widened his eyes in shock. He died just like that. Wasn't it too easy? A third-degree hybrid demon without the power of the Pure Land was naturally no match for Zichen. After the other party died, the core of the Pure Land appeared. As a result, this Pure Land became an ownerless object. The other hybrid demons had already fled. They no longer had the mindset of leaving things to chance. Zichen turned around and looked at the messy Pure Land. There were no more resources that could be taken away. So he walked towards the corpse of that third-degree hybrid demon. In the meantime, he sensed something and turned his head to look into the distance. He saw Vader and recognized him. His eyes flashed with surprise. He hadn't been here for long, and the other party was here too. "Sir, do you need help?" Seeing this, Vader hurriedly jogged over. Zichen said, "Just you?" Vader nodded. "One is enough. I'm very strong." After Vader finished speaking, he dragged the corpses and ran out of the Pure Land. Zichen didn't stop him. In this Pure Land, corpses were just corpses. Only outside could they be transformed into pure energy under the rules. Zichen brought the third-degree realm hybrid demon's corpse and walked out. In the meantime, he took the core of the Pure Land but didn't refine it. This thing could be sold and exchanged for resources. After that, Zichen stood there and watched Vader go in and out, constantly taking out the corpses. Zichen didn't help. About an hour later, Vader took out all the corpses. Then, he ran all the way to Zichen. Sir, it's all done. Everything is here. Zichen glanced at the light of law in the other party's hand and asked, What's your name? Sir, my name is Vader. Vader's face was full of excitement. Zichen took the high-grade lights of law and some law crystals. He left the rest of the lights of law for the other party. During this period, he also left a law crystal for him. After that, Zichen turned around and left. My lord! Vader caught up and raised the light of law again. These are all yours, sir. I don't want them. Zichen's eyes were filled with astonishment. It was rare to see such a person. Seeing the sincerity in his eyes, Zichen said, This is your reward. Vader hurriedly shook his head. I don't want to be paid. Can I follow you, sir? Zichen frowned. I won't be a burden to you, sir. You don't have to worry about me. But I can do any dirty work. Vader raised his energy again and promised repeatedly. I only want to follow you, sir. Zichen thought about his next objective. He indeed needed such a person, so he didn't refuse. Vader was delighted. He wanted to give the light of law to Zichen, but Zichen didn't accept it. Looking at this sir's back and thinking back to Luoao and the others, the difference was obvious. When dealing with those people, they were always calculative and wanted nothing more than to do things for free. On the other hand, Sir was completely different. Vader followed behind, unable to calm down for a long time. He believed that following such a Sir would definitely increase his knowledge. My lord, where did you learn the lost seal of the formation array? After a while, Vader finally couldn't hold back his curiosity and asked. The lost seal of formation? Zichen looked at Vader, puzzled. Sir, you don't know? Vader asked again. Zichen shook his head. His seal of formation came from the Tao of Divine Tattoos. Back then, not only did he obtain the inheritance, but he also obtained a condensed deity seal. The reason why he could grasp so many formations so easily wasn't because of his talent, but because of the deity seal. It allowed him to achieve twice the results with half the effort. After that, Vader talked about some things related to the lost seals of spell arrays, such as the Pure Land Domain and Deprivation. When Zichen heard this, he gradually understood. Back then, the Tao of Divine Tattoos world collapsed and disappeared along with the inheritance. In the immortal spell world, although formations still existed, as time passed, many powerful spells were lost in the long river of history. I obtained it by accident. I didn't know that this was the lost seal of formation, Zichen said, but the first time I used it, the effect was not bad. Vader pursed his lips. Sir, how is this not bad? To be able to kill a pure landlord who had the home field advantage is a miracle. Zichen didn't dwell on this topic. Next, the two of them went to the second Pure Land. After Vader learned of Zichen's intentions, he said excitedly, Sir, are you from the Pure Land Alliance? No. Zichen shook his head. He was still very sensitive to these words. Then you are also amazing because you are helping to reclaim the lost territory. Vader said excitedly, The territory of the Spirit Tribe cannot be lost. Sir, you are really heroic. Zichen snorted and couldn't be bothered to explain. He was a little skeptical about how this guy had survived until now. After all, in the immortal spell world, the situation was even more serious. After arriving at the second Pure Land, Zichen entered by himself, while Vader watched from the outside. After a while, the hybrid demons ran out in fear. The Pure Land was shaking. Seeing that most of the hybrid demons had escaped, Vader walked in and watched Zichen and the Pure Landlord fight. Under the seal of the lost seal of formation, there was no suspense in this battle. After the battle ended, he immediately went forward and began to diligently bring the corpses out of the Pure Land. After that, Zichen still gave him a portion of the reward. Next was the third Pure Land and the fourth Pure Land. Everything went smoothly. After arriving at the fifth Pure Land, Zichen encountered a fourth-tier spell destroyer realm hybrid demon. This battle was still a little taxing. Fortunately, Zichen had endless methods and various formations that dazzled the eyes. In the end, he used the Tao sword and killed the fourth-tier hybrid demon. In Vader's knowledge, Zichen was almost omnipotent. He was like a moving treasure trove of formations. After conquering the fifth Pure Land, Zichen and Vader went to the Lekki Pure Land. The Lekki Pure Land could be traded, and the 5 Pure Lands that Zichen conquered could also be sold here. Vader was undoubtedly looking forward to the trip to the Lekki Pure Land. In this larger Pure Land, there were obviously more people, and spiritual techniques could be seen everywhere. After Vader asked around, he brought Zichen to the trading place of the Pure Land. When they arrived, Zichen met a steward and told him that he had a Pure Land for sale. At the same time, he also told him the location of the Pure Land. Suddenly, the steward shouted, "Men, take this thief down!" Chapter 52-52. Zichen looked at the other party and was stunned. He was only here to sell the Pure Lands. How did he become a thief? Vader was also stunned. Your Pure Lands were previously occupied by the hybrid demons. Now you're actually selling them. If you're not a thief, then what are you? The manager stared coldly at Zichen. You colluded with the hybrid demons to plunder the Pure Lands. Hey, you're being unreasonable. Vader was furious. Can't we have stolen them from the hybrid demons? The manager had a look of disdain. Stealing the Pure Lands from the hybrid demons? Do you think you're part of the Pure Land Alliance? Vader wanted to say something, but after looking at Zichen, he shut his mouth. Zichen said, Since that's the case, then I won't sell them. He turned around and was about to leave. Wait! The manager suddenly stopped Zichen. You're not selling them just because you say so? Now is the time to investigate whether you colluded with the hybrid demons, not to sell them. Who are you? Vader said unhappily. On what basis do you say that we colluded with the hybrid demons? The manager sneered and took out a token with a proud expression. Zichen recognized the token and his expression turned ugly. Pure Land Alliance. You're from the Pure Land Alliance? Vader found it hard to believe. That's right. As a member of the Alliance, I'm certain that you're a raider. Moreover, you're a raider who colluded with the hybrid demons. The manager looked coldly at Zichen. Now, follow me to the Alliance. Zichen felt helpless. He didn't expect to meet people from the Alliance wherever he went. He looked around. There were some people here before, but they were gone now. There were a few people guarding the surroundings, coldly looking over. It was obvious that they were in cahoots. Zichen looked at the manager. What if I don't go? The manager said. Then wait for my order. The Alliance army will come and kill you, Vader said in disdain. Do you have the ability? Zichen asked again. Is there any other way? The steward sized up Zichen and said, Since this is your first offense, I will give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. After all, the original intention of our alliance was to help everyone. He paused for a moment and said, How about this? I'll forfeit your Pure Land. This is daylight robbery! Vader shouted angrily. What colluding with the hybrid demons? What plunderers? That was obviously just a pretense. The other party's true objective was to take the Pure Land that these lords had fought for. The steward glanced at Vader. You're just a little brat. What do you know? This is already my greatest kindness, don't you think? He looked at Zichen. Zichen waved his hand, signaling Vader not to say more. He directly took out the Pure Land cores and gave them to the other party. Looking at the cores of the Pure Land, a hint of greed flashed in the manager's eyes. He immediately reached out and snatched them. At least you know your place. I won't bicker with you about this matter. But remember, don't do it again. He waved his hand as though he was shooing away flies. All right, you can scram now. Zichen turned around and left. Vader glared at the steward and had no choice but to follow. Sir, why did you give the Pure Land cores to him? Vader was puzzled. He's obviously making trouble for no reason. He wants to forcibly occupy those Pure Lands, Zichen said. He's from the Pure Land Alliance. Can't you see? His token is definitely fake. The Pure Land Alliance was established to protect the Pure Land and the spirit race's interests, not to rob. Seeing Vader's righteous words, Zichen turned to look at him. He just smiled and didn't explain. Okon had said the same thing back then. But what was the result? The Lekki Pure Land was much bigger and more lively than Okon's Pure Land. The two of them passed by the trading area. Zichen saw a kind of jade talisman. Although it was broken, its price wasn't cheap. It needed to be exchanged with usage crystals. The jade talisman is usually sealed with an array seal. It's a consumable that can save a life at a critical moment, so the price is higher. Vader said. Usually, those with strength would buy one or two of them. The two of them didn't stay long in the Lekki Pure Land. After leaving the Pure Land, Zichen said, I'm going back. You don't have to follow me. Vader said, I don't have anything else to do. I'll go wherever Sir goes. Go where there's no fighting? Yes, I'll go anywhere. Vader had already decided to follow Sir. Zichen didn't try to persuade Vader. Instead, he walked straight to his Pure Land. This Pure Land was still called the Okon Pure Land. Because the crisis hadn't been resolved, Zichen wasn't in the mood to change the name. On the way back, Vader suddenly said, Sir, you're going to the last Pure Land? Could it be that it hasn't fallen? Zichen didn't respond. Vader reacted and said, Could it be that it was Sir who stopped those mantis demons? He was very excited. He had heard a lot about the Master of the Pure Land, but he had never seen him. Luoyao had said that it might have fallen. Now that he had guessed Zichen's identity, he naturally knew that such a thing wouldn't happen. After returning to the Pure Land, he saw a guard at the entrance. When the guard saw Zichen, he trotted over and said, Sir, the people from the Pure Land Alliance are here. Zichen said, How many? 2. They'd been here for 2 days. Zichen nodded and entered the Pure Land. During this time, the guards all looked at Vader in surprise. Where's your Master of the Pure Land? Is this how you treat your guests? After entering the Pure Land, he went straight to the depths. As soon as he arrived, he heard someone shouting, Believe it or not, our Pure Land Alliance will destroy you. Vader had been following Zichen. When he heard this, he said in surprise, Alliance again? Zichen's face was a little ugly. He walked forward quickly. Get lost. I don't like this kind of trash. Call out the chicks inside. I don't care where they're from. I want them now. Hurry up and come accompany me. As soon as he finished speaking, a cold voice sounded. No matter where you're from, you have to follow the rules when you're here. Zichen appeared. He looked at the two people who were making trouble for no reason. These two people's realms weren't high. One was level 3, and the other was level 4. The current Zichen could easily kill them without the help of the Pure Land. You're the Master of the Pure Land? Hearing this, the two looked at Zichen. As for Vader, he was naturally ignored. It's me, Zichen said indifferently. You're the one who killed Wei Zhong? That level 4 realm expert asked again. That's right. How dare you? You even dare to kill our Pure Land Alliance's men. In your eyes, do you still have our Pure Land Alliance? Looking at the other party's attitude, Zichen knew that Yuan Huazhou didn't manage to complete the task. Or it could be said that everything was within his expectations. Regarding Wei Zhong's death, I believe you're already aware. If it wasn't for his overbearing manner, things wouldn't have come to this stage. Zichen looked at the two of them and said, Before both of you came here, you should have heard about what happened. So I advise you not to take Wei Zhong's path. Why, you dare to threaten us? Their eyes turned cold. Zichen said, I don't dare. I'm just reminding both of you. Humph, I don't think you have the guts. Chapter 52-53. Zichen looked at the both of them and said, Both of you are well aware of the cause of Wei Zhong's death. Of course we know. Fourth Realm said. He came here to save you, to prevent you from being killed by the hybrid demons, but you killed him. Zichen sneered. This was unreasonable pestering. Fourth Realm continued. We won't make things difficult for you. If you feel that there are other suspicious points, then let me take 1,000 people away to prove your innocence. Zichen said directly. That's impossible. Moreover, I don't need to prove my innocence. Why are you trying to defy the Pure Land Alliance? Fourth Realm's face had a touch of coldness. Vader said angrily. You guys snatched by force, what kind of Pure Land Alliance is this? He stared at the both of them angrily. When the Alliance was first established, it was to protect the Spirit Clan. This is the foundation of the Alliance's existence. But you guys snatched by force. I suspect that you guys are not from the Alliance, but liars under the guise of the Alliance. Fourth Realm laughed disdainfully. Little kid, what do you know? Then Fourth Realm looked at Zichen. If you don't agree and give me 1009th level spirit spells, then you should know what the consequences are. Vader's face changed. He actually wanted 1009th level spirit spells. One must know that he had not reached this realm yet. This small Pure Land, how could there be so many strong practitioners? Zichen said. What do you want 1000 people for? Fourth Realm said. What can I use them for? Naturally to be cannon fodder. Don't tell me you want to worship them? That was direct. Zichen shook his head and rejected. That's impossible. Not to mention 1000, there's not even one. Hearing Zichen's rejection, Fourth Realm was not angry. That's good too. I saw that you guys have quite a number of women here. Let me take a few away. Zichen squinted his eyes. You want to die too? That was how Wei Zhong died. The both of them should be very clear. He originally thought that the both of them would be like Yuan Huaizhou. First, they would beat him up and then give him some suggestions. Now it seemed that he had thought too much. The other party came here to find trouble. Or perhaps, they were here to seek death? You! Fourth Stage Realm gave a look of disdain. Even if I give you 10 guts, you wouldn't dare to lay a hand on us. Zichen looked at him. Now I'll only give you 2 options. Either you let me take away 1,000 people, or you let me take away a few women. Not many, just 10 is enough. I'll pick them myself. Fourth Stage Realm laughed. 1 woman is equivalent to 100 men, this should be worth it, right? Zichen sighed. Fourth Stage Realm laughed. Why, you're compromising just like that. I thought that someone who could kill Wei Zhong must be amazing, but it turns out that he's also a coward. Zichen stretched out his finger and said, I choose the third option. Fourth Stage Realm Cultivator's smile disappeared. Do you want to die? I've already said that I'll only give you 2 options. The third path is indeed death. A cold killing intent flashed in Zichen's eyes. Then, the Pure Land began to tremble. Second Stage Realm Zichen used the Pure Land's energy, and killing a 4th Stage Realm and 3rd Stage Realm Cultivator wasn't a problem at all. When the two of them felt the terrifying pressure, their expressions changed drastically. 4th Stage Realm Cultivator shouted angrily. You dare to lay a hand on Pure Land Alliance's people, do you want to die? Zichen's reply was a punch. Bam! Under the addition of the Pure Land's energy, 4th Stage Realm Cultivator was sent flying with 1 punch. Following that, a ray of cold light flashed past and directly pierced through the other party's head. He died upon landing on the ground. That 3rd Stage Realm Cultivator was stunned as he didn't expect the other party to be so strong. He looked at Zichen in disbelief. Zichen looked at him. Why bother? Isn't it good to be alive? You. He pointed at Zichen with trembling fingers. Zichen didn't hold back and killed the other party directly. The others nearby were already used to it, and after a short moment of shock, all of them started to get busy again. Vader was shouting loudly earlier, but he didn't dare to say anything now. He looked at Zichen. Sir really killed them? Zichen replied. If not, they're obviously here to send themselves to their deaths. Vader didn't understand. Zichen walked up and dragged the 2 corpses. Their appetite is much bigger than I thought. At that moment, there was actually more helplessness. If they followed the other party's wishes and allowed him to bring 1,000 people away, there would definitely be a second wave and a third wave, so this was an unsolvable problem, and the only way to solve it was to be strong enough. Vader followed Zichen outside, and while they were walking, he asked, Then does Sir know what will happen next? When I killed Na Weizhong, I already guessed it. I originally thought that there should be a few reasonable people in Pure Land Alliance, but I didn't expect them to be such trash. Zichen sighed. Next, we can only counter soldiers with arms and water with an earth weir. But if we can't hold on, then we can only run. Zichen walked outside and turned the 2 corpses into Dharma crystals. Zichen put away the Dharma crystals and the 2's rings. Next was to wait. Wait for the enemy to come. It was a little ridiculous. The real enemy wasn't the hybrid demons or the ancestral beasts, but the Pure Land Alliance of the Ling tribe. Vader followed Zichen back and he wasn't in a good mood. This time, he had truly seen the people of the Pure Land Alliance. This completely overturned his worldview. The so-called Pure Land Alliance was actually an existence that did underhanded things under the guise of justice. Zichen returned to the depths of the forest, while Vader found an inn to stay in. As an existence who even knew about the seal of a lost formation, after walking around, he discovered that this place was unusual. Although this was only a second-grade Pure Land, the power of heaven and earth here was very rich. All of this originated from the spirit array underground. At this time, Zichen in the depths began to cultivate. Suddenly, 1. The Pure Land began to tremble. Rich power of heaven and earth appeared outside the Pure Land as if it came from the void and rushed towards the Pure Land. The power of heaven and earth began to fill the Pure Land, causing the quality of the Pure Land to increase. Vader's face changed drastically, not understanding what was happening. But the others had long had experience in this aspect, and began to cry out in surprise. Rain fell from the sky like pure energy, falling on the body. There were more auras in the surroundings. Vader, who had stagnated at the 7th level of Spirit Realm for a long time, also felt the opportunity to break through in this raindrop. He successfully reached the 8th level realm. Sir is really a god! Okon was also incomparably emotional at this moment. How long had it been in the 1st grade Pure Land reached the 3rd grade? It was enough to prove Zichen's extraordinariness. Others broke through because of the Pure Land, but this Pure Land was upgraded because of Zichen. Even if he had seen it once, he still felt incomparably shocked. Relatively speaking, the Pure Land's upgrade was also beneficial to Zichen. When using the Pure Land to fight, his combat strength would be stronger. This was also considered a big surprise to him. 7 days later, people from the Alliance came again. Chapter 52-54. A small team of 5 people appeared outside the Okon Pure Land. They had already heard the news of 2 people being killed. Everything was within their expectations. At that moment, their killing intent soared. A few people had already died, but they were obviously not afraid of Zichen's combat power. They directly entered the Okon Pure Land. Killing intent surged in the Pure Land. When everyone felt the killing intent, their expressions changed drastically. Zichen, get out here! An indifferent voice spread in the Pure Land. Zichen walked out from the depths. After hearing the commotion, Vader also walked out of the inn and looked at the 5 people from afar. One of them took out a token and said indifferently, I am Shi Qiao of the Pure Land Alliance. Today, I am here to investigate the cause of death of Wei Zhong and his 2 companions. Does anyone know? The crowd looked at each other, but no one spoke. Zichen stood on the street and looked at Shi Qiao indifferently. Anyway, he was here to find trouble. He would wait and see. Anyone who has made a contribution can join the Pure Land Alliance. With the Alliance's protection, you won't have to worry about survival for the rest of your lives. Shi Qiao said indifferently. Only those who provide information first are qualified to join the Alliance. I said he killed 3 people. That's right, I can also prove it. I saw him kill the Alliance with my own eyes. Under the reward of the Alliance's quota, someone immediately stood up and began to expose Zichen. Sir, not only did I see it with my own eyes, but I also know the reason. At this moment, a 3rd-level Spirit Spell Realm cultivator said. Back then, the 2 Alliance Masters came to reason with him, but not only did he not cooperate, He even killed the two masters. That's right, that's it. Vader, who was in the distance, was so angry that his whole body trembled after hearing this. These people were obviously talking nonsense in order to join the alliance. You're talking nonsense! He was very angry and walked out. It was clearly the alliance's people who went too far. Sir Zichen had no choice but to take action. Why did everything change when it came to your mouth? What do you mean by going too far? It's him who killed the innocent. That's right, you're Zichen. Of course, we're neutral. Vader's mouth naturally couldn't outtalk everyone. At this moment, everyone was speaking one after another, leaving Vader with no chance to interrupt. Shi Qiao turned to look at Zichen. Now that the evidence is conclusive, what else do you have to say? Zichen shrugged and said, I've decided to expel them. How dare you? Shi Qiao was furious. With us here, how dare you be so arrogant? The other four also used ice-cold gazes to sweep over Zichen. They didn't hide their auras at all. In addition to Shi Qiao, there was also a 5th-level Dharma Destroyer and 3 4th-level Dharma Destroyers. It had to be said that this level of combat power was more than enough to deal with Zichen, who was in the 2nd stage of spell destruction. Zichen looked at those people and said, You have nowhere to go, so I took you in. Now I've changed my mind. You can leave now. These people's faces changed, and they didn't dare to look at Zichen. Of course, he didn't dare to leave at this time. With their strength, if they stayed outside and didn't have a pure land to recover, they wouldn't survive more than a few days. How dare you? I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Shi Qiao, who was ignored, looked coldly at Zichen. Zichen said, I know very well what your purpose is. If your attitude was better, there might be room for negotiation. Unfortunately, you chose the other path. Zichen's eyes became cold. Now, get out of here immediately, or don't blame me for being rude. He had already seen through the nature of these people. Even if he lowered his head and spoke nicely, the other party would still pester endlessly. Instead of lowering his voice to no result, it was better to be tough. At least he could still retain his dignity. You're courting death. Zichen's words completely infuriated Shi Qiao. Boom! A tyrannical aura exploded in an instant. The people who had approached earlier and were complaining were immediately sent flying. During this period, there were several people who couldn't withstand the pressure of this aura and died directly. Zichen didn't care about the life and death of these people. He mobilized the Pure Land's energy to protect the nearby buildings and people. Everyone, back off immediately! Zichen's indifferent voice rang. The people who were being protected immediately retreated. During this period, the other 4 people from the Alliance also released their own aura. Obviously, the 5 of them were going to join forces. Zichen removed the energy that was protecting everyone. The nearby buildings collapsed one by one. Facing these 5 people, Zichen didn't dare to be careless at all. Under his feet, an array appeared and then spread rapidly, expanding to a range of 100 feet. Within this range, there was an extremely heavy pressure all around. The 5 people's bodies obviously swayed. They were very surprised. Then, the massacre spirit appeared. Buzz! Like a bolt of lightning, it went straight to the 4th stage. At the same time, above their heads, an array with a radius of 100 feet appeared. Numerous attacks appeared from above, like arrows, falling towards the 5 people. The crowd from afar looked at this scene in shock. Zichen didn't move at all from the start to the end. The 5 people shouted and mobilized their own energy. The massacre spirit charged towards a 4th stage Dharma extermination realm. When the other party saw this, he immediately took defensive measures. Buzz! Just at this moment, an array suddenly appeared in front of the massacre spirit. After the massacre spirit passed through, its speed rose sharply again. Taking advantage of the other party's defense, it pierced through the other party's glabella. Instantly, he was exterminated. When the other 4 people saw this, their expressions changed drastically. They didn't expect this 2nd stage realm to be so powerful. Following that, the massacre spirit continued to attack. After borrowing the Pure Land's energy, there were no accidents. The other two fourth-stage realm were also killed one after another. The last two fifth-stage realms' expressions turned extremely grave. Zichen said coldly, "You asked for it." He raised his head and took a look at the sky. Numerous Pure Land's energy gathered towards the sky, forming a lotus. The lotus blossomed with a glaring light and rotated in the sky. Every time it rotated, heaven and earth would tremble, as if there was a gust of energy that completely surpassed this Pure Land. Boom! Following that, a straight beam of light flew out from the lotus and went straight towards a fifth-stage realm. Boom! That fifth-stage Dharma extermination realm's body was directly penetrated. In a blink of an eye, only Shi Qiao was left of the 5 people. Zichen, the Alliance will not let you off for this matter. Shi Qiao's eyes were filled with resentment as he gritted his teeth. A jade talisman appeared in his hand and he crushed it, preparing to escape. Just at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared on the lotus. He was like a Buddha as his entire body exploded with golden light. The golden light shone down, isolating the area within a radius of 100 feet. Faintly, there was the sound of cicadas singing. "This is the golden Buddha fire lotus?" Once again, Vader was subdued. The Buddha's voice was accompanied by the cicadas singing and Shi Qiao's figure disappeared. But very quickly, he appeared at the boundary of the 100-feet radius. He was originally complacent, but after looking around, his expression changed drastically as he cried out in shock. "How is this possible? His first transmission didn't even leave this Pure Land. It was only 100 feet radius." He raised his head and looked at the Buddha and lotus, his eyes filled with shock. Chapter 52-55. A golden Buddha sat cross-legged on the lotus, suppressing the teleportation jade talisman. Shi Qiao appeared at the edge of the teleportation jade talisman and looked at the scene in disbelief. There was an array seal in the world that could suppress the teleportation jade talisman. At this moment, his eyes were filled with horror. He wanted to escape from here because he could feel how powerful and terrifying Zichen was. Unfortunately, he was one step too late. The spirit of massacre accelerated 3 times in the middle, and after passing through 3 acceleration arrays, it pierced through Shi Qiao's head with a poof. The 5th-degree realm cultivator was dead. At this moment, everyone saw this scene and there was only shock in their eyes. As for those who had falsely accused Zichen, they were so shocked that they could not say a word. Zichen dragged the few dead people and walked out of the Pure Land. Killing one was killing a group was also killing. Now, he no longer had any worries about the future. When Vader saw this, he immediately followed and helped Zichen carry the 2 corpses. The others looked indifferently at those who had falsely accused Suemo. When they felt those sharp eyes, they knew that they could not stay here any longer. So, one by one, they lowered their heads and left. The people from the Alliance will definitely come again. Next time, there will be more experts and it will probably affect this place. Those who want to leave can leave together. Zichen's voice came from afar. Zichen had killed many people from the Alliance here. To a huge force like the Alliance, they would definitely not let it go. It was only a matter of time before they send out experts again. Previously, many people had thought of this problem. Now that Zichen had pointed it out, many people were worried. However, there was only one Pure Land left in this area. Where could they go if they left? At this moment, Zichen's voice sounded again. "I have reclaimed the few Pure Lands nearby. It's a pity that the Pure Land's core has been snatched by the Alliance. But I think they will sell it to the spirit race again. You can go to those Pure Lands to hide." After hearing this news, there was an uproar in Zichen's Pure Land. Those who were still hesitating made up their minds and chose to leave. After all, the Alliance was a colossus, and Zichen was just a rising star. How could he challenge the Alliance? Even if Zichen was right in this matter, he still had the right to do so. But through this, many people learned about the darkness of the Alliance. Putting away all the law crystals, Zichen stood outside the Pure Land and gazed into the distance. It was never peaceful. No matter where it was, there would be disputes. At this moment, he couldn't help but sigh. Could it be that the immortal spells world had become like this because of the internal strife within the spirit tribe? Vader stood beside Zichen and looked at the calm expression on Zichen's face. However, he was in a bad mood. He cupped his fists at Zichen, then turned and left. He left. Zichen turned around and returned to the Pure Land. He had killed someone at the 5th stage of the Dharma extermination realm. Next would be someone at the 6th or 7th stage, right? If he was in the 6th stage realm, he would still have the power to battle, but if he was in the 7th stage realm, then he would have to run. After returning, Zichen gathered everyone together. The current crisis was too much for him to handle, and he had to inform everyone. What's there to be afraid of? We have so many people. Let's go straight to their headquarters and hack them to death, Monk said angrily. Damn it, we've fought the hybrid demons and the ancestral beasts. I didn't expect to be schemed against by these despicable people. Everyone just listened to him and knew that he was just saying it out of anger, so they didn't take it to heart. Based on their current strength, it was impossible for them to challenge the alliance. Zichen said, Everyone, be careful. Once you see that the situation is not good, leave immediately. After I leave, I will conceal the transportation array. By then, the people below won't be able to come up for the time being. Just as Zichen was thinking of how to escape, the two old men, black and white, were transported over from below. After Zichen heard the news, he went to meet the two of them. After all, they were monitors and came from this world. After Zichen introduced the situation here, the two of them were puzzled. Looking at the Pure Land, White said, We're not familiar with this place at all. Zichen brought the two of them out of the Pure Land and went outside. Looking at the surrounding ruins and the almost non-existent heaven and earth energy, the two of them felt that they had come to an unfamiliar place. This place was nothing like the immortal spell world. Therefore, the two of them couldn't be sure that this was the immortal spell world. As such, it was even more impossible to return to the original organization. This made the two of them a little depressed. Just as the three of them were about to return to the Pure Land, they saw someone walking over from afar. It was Vader, who had left not long ago. He was here again. When he saw Zichen, Vader ran over. Zichen looked at him in surprise. Vader said, I've thought about it. At such a critical moment, I definitely can't leave. I want to advance and retreat together with Sir. Zichen pointed at Vader's head. Are you okay here? Vader shook his head. Of course I'm fine. I'm normal. Normal? Everyone else has left, but you're back? Many people had already left, including the natives of Okon's Pure Land. Even some of Okon's subordinates had left. For example, Wei Luo and the others. I think this is the Alliance's fault. Since it's their fault, what reason do we have to retreat? Vader said righteously. They should be the ones retreating. Zichen didn't try to persuade Vader anymore. The four of them turned and walked towards the Pure Land. At the door, Zichen saw Okon. The two of them looked at each other. Okon had a look of guilt on his face. And behind Okon, there were many people, including Haydn, who ran the inn. It seemed like they weren't optimistic about the future, so they had to leave. At this moment, no one dared to look at Zichen. Zichen smiled and said, You don't have to blame yourselves. Actually, even I don't have much hope this time. I'm prepared to escape at any time. Hearing Zichen's words, everyone felt less guilty. Everyone, take care. Zichen turned sideways and made way. Including Okon, everyone clasped their fists at Zichen. Okon said goodbye. After that, everyone left. The two old men, black and white, already knew the current situation, so their hearts were a little heavy. Vader followed behind, not saying a word either. He actually wanted to blame these people. How could there be only happiness in the world? But in the end, he didn't speak. Because the Pure Land Alliance was too big, so big that no one dared to go against it. This was also their helplessness. None of the people who came from the 10,000 spirit realm left. These people in the early days had almost all experienced that turbulent era, so their endurance was not small. Next, Everyone was waiting for the arrival of the final battle. After this battle, everyone would probably run away. The people of the Alliance came again. This time, the leader was a 7th-level Law Destroyer. This realm was enough to kill Zichen, who was at the 2nd-level Law Destroyer. In addition, the other party also brought a 6th-level Law Destroyer, 3 5th-level Law Destroyer, and more than a dozen Law Destroyer experts. And finally, there were hundreds of Spirit Law Realm experts. Chapter 52-56. A group of a few hundred people was moving forward in the wasteland. This was the first time in many years that the Alliance had sent out so many experts. The last time was a few hundred years ago, when they killed a group of villains who specialized in robbing the Pure Land. In that battle, the Alliance had suffered many casualties, but in the end, they killed those villainous raiders. The leader was a level 7 Annihilation Realm cultivator. He was sitting in a palanquin with 8 people, resting with his eyes closed. From afar, someone flew over and shouted, "Lord," and knelt down on one knee. The palanquin stopped and the level 7 Annihilation Realm cultivator opened his eyes. "What do the higher-ups mean? Lord Luo just sent a message. We must control that Pure Land." The person cupped his fists and said, "But that Pure Land's lord cannot die." Spec said unhappily, "If we can't kill him, how can we control that place? Lord Luo said that he hopes that you can train him into an obedient dog. Because only he can open that world entrance." Spec snorted and said, "If that's the case, then we can only cripple his body and destroy his mind." After a slight pause, Spec said, "I heard that Wei Zhong died because of the woman there. Since he cares so much, when we reach that place, I will cripple him first, and then share the woman he cares about with everyone." Spec waved his hand and said, "I know what to do. You can leave now." The person stood up and cupped his fists and left. Spec sneered, "How dare you kill our people? Next I will make you wish you were dead." Yes, the Alliance can use any means necessary to kill the violent aliens. Suddenly, Spec's expression changed slightly. There was a person standing in front of him. Beside him was a black robe with a cold expression. "Zhou-Ho, why are you here?" A trace of surprise appeared on Spec's face. Didn't Zhou-Ho return after blocking the hybrid demon expert? Zhou-Ho looked at Spec and said, "Go back." "What do you mean?" Spec looked at Zhou-Ho. "Go back." Zhou-Ho's eyes flashed coldly. "If I repeat myself, you will die." "Zhou-Ho, are you crazy?" Spec's expression changed. "This time, I'm here to protect the Alliance. A bandit stole our Pure Land and killed our people. This is a challenge to the Alliance's dignity. I have to protect the Alliance and punish this evil. You're a 7th-stage realm cultivator, and you're going to kill a 2nd-stage realm cultivator. You still have the cheek to say that you're defending the Alliance?" Zhou-Ho's face was cold. "Besides, don't you know who that person is? The moment you open your mouth, you call us aliens. You're a disgrace to the Alliance. You know?" Spec was stunned. "I don't care about the others, but you, Spec, must go back. At the same time, tell that Birdman that the Alliance was formed to protect the spirit race, not for personal gain." Zhou-Ho's face was cold and indifferent. "If he continues to be stubborn, then don't blame us for being impolite." Spec was stunned again. "You mean you want me to go back alone? You don't care about the others? What? Do you want me to repeat myself?" When Spec heard this, he laughed out loud. Without another word, he jumped out of the chariot. "You guys continue. Do as I say, don't hold back." With that, Spec left. That idiot Zhou-Ho, did he think that he would be done after chasing him back? This time, he brought a 6th-stage realm cultivator and 3 5th-stage realm cultivators. This lineup was enough to kill a 2nd-stage realm cultivator. So he left very decisively. But before he left, he didn't forget to remind everyone that they should leave 2 women in that world for him. Boss left. Just as everyone was looking at each other, Zhou-Ho also left. Sure enough, he didn't care about them anymore. So the 6th-stage realm cultivator took over this place. "All of you, follow me. This time, there were no more obstructions on the road ahead. They came to the Ocon's Pure Land. At this moment, there weren't many people left in the Ocon's Pure Land. More than 90% of the people chose to leave. In fact, even the guards from back then had fled the place. The 9th level spirit cultivator from the 10,000 spirit realm acted as a temporary guard. After seeing those people in the distance, his face immediately changed. Then, 2 guards turned back and shouted that there was an enemy attack. This was also Zichen's arrangement. If more people from the Alliance came, the 9th level spirit cultivator guards wouldn't be able to stop them. Rather than being killed outside, it was better to retreat early. Zichen appeared and asked, "How many people are here?" Monk and the others also appeared. At this moment, the Pure Land was almost full of people from the 10,000 spirit realm. "A few hundred," the temporary guard said. "I'll go out and take a look. You guys wait inside. Don't go out." Zichen flew forward. This was the power given to him by the Pure Land. Outside the Pure Land, Zichen saw the people from the Alliance. There were many of them. There was a carriage in front, but there was no one inside. Beside the chariot stood a person with a very strong aura. Zichen's expression changed slightly. The person standing there already made him feel danger. How strong was the person in the carriage? You should feel lucky that Lord Speck went back halfway. Otherwise, he could destroy your Pure Land in minutes. That stage 6 spirit cultivator scoffed coldly and helped Zichen solve his doubts. It seemed like the person in the carriage wasn't there. Then the strongest person was the person in front. Before Zichen asked, he used his aura to suppress him. Stage 6 spirit cultivator. This realm was enough to make Zichen feel threatened. So, Zichen took the initiative to speak. "Are you all here to reason?" Stage 6 spirit cultivator said in disdain. "I am here to give you a chance to be our dog. It is up to you whether you want to take it or not. As long as you kneel down and tell us that you want to be our dog, then hand this place over to us. From now on, we will arrange and distribute the people here. Since you aren't here to reason, then there is nothing to talk about." Zichen retreated and entered the Pure Land. "You are asking for death." A murderous intent flashed past 6th stage realm's eyes. "When we kill our way in, do you know what the consequences will be?" Zichen stood at the entrance of the Pure Land and looked at the other party coldly. Stage 6 spirit cultivator thought that he had scared Zichen and said, "Kill all the men and let the brothers enjoy the women. So, it is up to you how to choose." Zichen hooked his finger at the other party and made a provocative gesture. "Just because of what you said, if you dare to come in, I will not leave anyone alive." At this moment, Zichen's killing intent rose. Even if he already knew that this would be an extremely tragic battle. "Kill." Seeing that Zichen didn't take the bait, Stage 6 Spirit Cultivator waved his hand. Battle cries filled the sky and everyone rushed towards Zichen's Pure Land. Zichen, who had returned to the Pure Land, said, "Everyone retreat. Without my order, don't attack." At this moment, he wanted to fight against the hundreds of people from the Alliance with his own strength. Everyone rushed into the Pure Land. And behind them, another person appeared. It was Zhou who had left earlier. He stood at a distance and watched this scene silently without interfering. The Pure Land suddenly shook. Zichen made his move. With his second level of Spirit Cultivator, he mobilized the power of the third level Pure Land and carried out a massacre on these people. Buzz. The spirit of massacre was like lightning. At the same time, the Dao sword appeared. Chapter 52-57. When Vader walked out of the inn, he saw a spell array. The array spread out in the sky. Countless lines glowed and flowed. The range was almost 10,000 feet high, enveloping all the people of the Alliance. What followed was a battle that could be called a massacre. 1. The array spun. Wherever its power passed, the people of the Alliance fell and died one after another. Especially those in the spirit realm. They did not even have time to let out a wail. As for those in the annihilation realm, they could only barely block the attack from the array in the sky. The spirit of massacre wandered around like lightning, looking for an opportunity to attack. Once it appeared, there would be casualties. This scene was already enough to shock everyone. But when Zichen took out his Dao sword, he displayed an almost invincible combat power. The Dao sword condensed from countless arrays slashed down. Arrays that Vader had never seen before appeared one after another. All kinds of legendary formations dazzled one's eyes. In this battle, Zichen fought against the people of the Alliance with his own strength. It was indeed a difficult battle, but the shock it brought to everyone was indescribable. The level 6 of the Annihilation Realm also displayed his strongest strength. But he was constantly suppressed by the power of the Pure Land and various arrays. The Pure Land kept shaking. In this battle, almost half of it collapsed. Zichen also suffered a sneak attack from a level 5 of the Annihilation Realm when he came into direct contact with the level 6 of the Annihilation Realm. He was seriously injured. After everyone became corpses, Zichen stood there, his body on the verge of collapse. At this moment, he was covered in blood. Those who were still in the city were shocked to the point of petrification. This was too unbelievable. Zichen, who was covered in blood, looked back into the distance. The monk and the others had already appeared. They did not participate in the battle. At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger. This emotion was towards the Alliance. Zichen was about to open his mouth and tell everyone to run. Once the level 7 of the Annihilation Realm arrived, they would suffer heavy losses. There was no room for reconciliation between the two sides. At this moment, a person appeared at the entrance of the Pure Land. The moment he appeared, the half-collapsed Pure Land immediately became unstable, as if it could collapse at any time. Zichen's expression changed drastically. Tyrant and the others could no longer suppress their anger. They roared and charged forward. Zichen raised his hand, and a will spread out from the Pure Land. "Don't come over!" He was well aware of the strength of these people. If Tyrant and the rest were to recklessly charge forward, only death awaited them. Sensing Zichen's strong willpower, Tyrant and the others had no choice but to stop. Each and every one of them looked at the person in front of them with resentment. They had braved through all kinds of storms and waves, but never would they have thought that they would capsize in such a small ditch. Zhou had a panoramic view of everything, including the hatred of the monk and the others. He looked at Zichen and said, "I was the one who stopped the fiends." Zichen looked at Zhou and said nothing. Back then, Wei Zhong had said the same thing. "My name is Zhou. From today onwards, no one will target your Pure Land." Zhou introduced himself. Zichen still did not respond. People from the Alliance couldn't be trusted. "I was the one who called that 7th level Dharma Destroyer back." After hearing this, Zichen's expression changed. It seemed like Zhou was not on the same side as Wei Zhong and the others. Zichen stood there. "What can I do for you?" When the Alliance was first established, there were some hot-blooded people who wanted to do something for these Pure Lands. But as the Alliance grew stronger, it was inevitable that some rascals would sneak in. Zhou threw out a token and said, "This is the Alliance's token. It represents the identity of the Alliance's headquarters. With it, those people from the branch won't dare to have any ideas about your Pure Land." Zichen took the token and looked at Zhou in confusion. Tyrant and the others were also surprised. Zhou continued, "You stopped the Ancestor Beast and took down a few other Pure Lands from the fiends. You have contributed to the spirit race, so it's only right that I give you a token. Of course, this token can only be a protective talisman for your Pure Land. As for yourself, if you offend others in the future, there will be trouble." Hearing Zhou's words, Zichen heaved a sigh of relief. He immediately cupped his fists and thanked Zhou. If not for Zhou's appearance, he would have already told everyone to run away. As for whether he was in danger or not, Zichen never cared. As long as this world was safe and no one was in danger, it was fine. Previously, the trouble that was more difficult than ascending to the heavens for him was solved by this small token. As if a burden had been lifted, Zichen no longer felt any pressure. He fell back and fainted. "Zichen!" Tyrant and the others quickly rushed forward. However, the fastest was Zhang Haotian. He had been hiding at the side and instantly appeared to support Zichen. Then, everyone carried Zichen back to his residence. When Tyrant and the others reacted and greeted Zhou Ho, he had already disappeared. That's more like someone from the Alliance. Everyone turned around and returned to the depths. Zichen's injuries were not serious. He had just consumed a lot of energy. He just needed to wait for his recovery. It seemed that because Zichen was injured, the half-collapsed Pure Land could not recover. Amazing, really amazing! At this moment, Zhou Ho had already arrived outside the Pure Land. He had seen the previous battle and was very impressed. Because if he was at Zichen's level, facing these people from the Alliance would only be a dead end. Therefore, such an existence was qualified to receive a commander token. He looked back at the Pure Land. Although the commander token can protect this place, your following days will not be easy at all. Zhou Ho left. Before leaving, he seemed to see a person standing at the entrance of the Pure Land. After a full 3 days, Zichen woke up. The moment he opened his eyes, he was about to take the token. After seeing the commander token that belonged to him, he was relieved. With it, the Alliance's troubles would not be there. Then, he noticed Su Mengyao beside him. How do you feel? Su Mengyao looked at Zichen. She had been accompanying Zichen here for the past few days. As for Lin Shui and the others, they were all cultivating and trying to break through as soon as possible. Zichen sensed his body and said, "My injuries are not serious. I will recover in a few days." Su Mengyao nodded and then placed a ring beside Zichen. This is the harvest from killing the Alliance people. It's all inside. Zichen opened it and took a look. The harvest this time was not small. However, a large portion of the resources inside were useless to him. Zichen took out these resources and gave them to Su Mengyao for her to distribute. He only kept the high-grade ones that were useful to him. A few days later, Zichen's injuries recovered. This Pure Land also began to recover on its own. The buildings and arrays that were destroyed previously also needed to be rebuilt. It took about a month. Zichen's Pure Land world had completely changed. Chapter 52-58. The 10,000 Spirit Pure Land. It represented the 10,000 Spirit world. From now on, this place would be the foundation of the 10,000 Spirit world, just like Zichen's Sky Martial Continent in the Saint Spirit world. No matter what the future held, everyone from the 10,000 Spirit world would protect this place for generations to come. Those who had left back then returned one after another. Those who owned properties shrank by more than half. Some of them sold their properties at a low price when they left, and Su Mengyao secretly bought them back. Because she didn't think highly of this Pure Land, the original price was half a gift. Now that the crisis was over, it was impossible for those people to buy them back. In this Pure Land, all the properties were no longer sold to the outside world. Su Mengyao wanted to manage this place personally, and she had a lot of experience in this. During this time, Vader stayed here and didn't leave. Zichen ordered someone to waive his accommodation fee. Another half a month later, Okon and the others returned after confirming that there was no more danger here. Without the threat from the Alliance, Okon was still very optimistic about Zichen's Pure Land and intended to develop here for a long time. Compared to the others, as the former master of the Pure Land, he had the most properties. Zichen's Pure Land was still free to enter and leave. The nearby people gathered here, causing it to become more and more lively. One day, someone from the Alliance came. Everyone became nervous again. Were they looking for trouble again? Zichen went to meet the other party. It was a middle-aged man with the Alliance's general order. After seeing Zichen, he said, "The Alliance has ordered you to go to the Thunder Pure Land immediately." After saying that, the other party left decisively. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. It seems that the people from the headquarters do things differently from the branch. Zichen went back and told everyone that he was leaving. Monk and the others wanted to follow, but Zichen refused. Now that the danger was over, everyone could move freely and go out to search for opportunities. He first suggested that everyone go to the desolate land. There were enough ancestral beasts of all levels there. If everyone went there, they would have a high chance of breaking through. After that, Zichen left and went to the Thunder Pure Land. Outside the Pure Land, he met Vader. "Sir, I'll go with you." Vader was very excited. Zichen nodded and did not refuse. The last time the two of them were here, they were here to sell the Pure Land. In the end, the Pure Land was snatched by the people from the Alliance. This time, it was happening again. When Zichen arrived, he saw many people standing at the entrance of the Pure Land. They seemed to be waiting for something. When Zichen arrived, a middle-aged man immediately stepped forward. "Are you Zichen?" Zichen nodded in confusion. "I am Lei Qi, the master of this Pure Land." Lei Qi stepped forward and said with a smile, "I've been waiting for you. Let's go in." "Waiting for me?" Zichen was a little surprised. He then looked behind Lei Qi and saw that there were more than a dozen people. "That's right. Everyone is waiting for you here," Lei Qi said. "There was a misunderstanding last time." Zichen noticed that the steward who had taken away the core of his Pure Land using the identity of the Alliance was also in the team. At this moment, the steward was also looking at Zichen. When the two of them looked at each other, a cold glint flashed in the other's eyes. Zichen did not know why all of this was happening. But he knew that the other party was obviously unwilling to appear here. Could it be Zhou Ho? Vader stood beside Zichen. When he saw this scene, he was very excited. He felt that this was the standard this time because the two of them left too sullenly. "Zichen, quickly follow me inside." Lei Qi seemed very enthusiastic as he led Zichen into the Pure Land. Along the way, everyone cast a surprised look in their direction. They all thought that some great person had arrived. Otherwise, why would the Pure Land's master personally come out to welcome them? Zichen took all of this in and accepted it calmly. The group of people went deeper. This was where Lei Qi met his guests. "Zichen, there were many misunderstandings about what happened last time. Here are 500 Tier 3 spell crystals as compensation." Lei Qi took out a cloth bag full of law crystals. Level 3 law crystals could only be produced in a Level 3 Pure Land. For example, Zichen's 10,000 Spirits Pure Land could produce Level 3 law crystals immediately, but it would take a long time. It might take several years or even more than a decade to produce one. Now Lei Qi took out 500 at once, which was a sign of sincerity. However, the Pure Land that Zichen conquered was actually quite valuable. Zichen extended his hand without any intention of declining. He felt that he deserved this compensation. Lei Qi was slightly stunned. "You really dare to take it?" At this moment, an indifferent voice sounded. It was the steward who had snatched his Pure Land. At this moment, his face was gloomy as he looked at Zichen with warning. Zichen said indifferently, "Why wouldn't I dare to take it? Isn't this my compensation for conquering the Pure Land? Oh, I almost forgot. You said that I colluded with the hybrid demons. What did you do with my Pure Land? Did you hand it over to the Alliance? Do you want to die?" A murderous intent flashed in the steward's eyes. Zichen was obviously poking at his sore spot. Although he had managed to get his hands on a few Pure Lands, he almost choked to death after eating them. The smile on Zichen's face did not fade. "The reason I was threatened by you last time was because you revealed your identity as an Alliance member. I'm not afraid of you, I respect the Alliance. Now that you and I are both members of the Alliance, you have a death wish if you dare to threaten me." "Zichen, it's a misunderstanding." "It's all a misunderstanding," Lei Qi immediately said. "Zichen, don't lower yourself to Zack's level. He's used to abhorring evil." Lei Qi put the cloth bag in Zichen's hand as he spoke. "You deserve this. Keep it well." The others around also looked coldly at Zichen. These law crystals were not a reward given by the higher-ups, nor were they compensation. They were pieced together by these people. Among them, Zack had even dug out all his cards. They thought that they were just going through the motions. Zichen should know the rules and know what to take and what not to take. But now, it seemed that this guy did not know the rules. Under everyone's gaze, Zichen put away the law crystals. He was now at the second level Dharma annihilation stage. These 500 level 3 law crystals were quite useful to him. Feeling the coldness around him, Zichen did not care at all. Since he had killed many people, he did not mind killing a few more. Why did the headquarters ask me to come here? Zichen asked after putting away the law crystals. Lei Chi watched as Zichen put away the law crystals and a trace of regret flashed in his eyes. He then said, "It's said that the Alliance has made a new discovery in the boneyard. This time, we asked you to come here to scout the situation. It can be considered as a scout." "Am I alone?" Zichen asked again. Chapter 52-59. Lei Chi had a smile on his face when he said that. There was a hint of smugness in that smile. The others also looked at Zichen with unfriendly gazes. Zichen saw all of this and pretended not to hear the hidden danger. He nodded and said, "Got it. When do we set off?" 5 days later. "We'll meet here then." Zichen left. Vader was still by his side. After walking out, Vader said, "Sir, they said they would treat us to a meal. Why didn't they treat us?" Zichen said with a smile. "They thought that I wouldn't take those Dharma crystals, so they wanted to use a meal to resolve the previous misunderstanding." "What?" Vader's eyes widened. "Are they crazy? So many of our pure lands were robbed, and they want to resolve it with a meal? So, I took the Dharma crystals." Zichen's lips curled into a sneer. How could he not see through Lei Chi's scheme? The reason why he did not compromise was because the word, alliance, could no longer threaten him. As long as they did not target his world or his friends, Zichen was not afraid of anything. Vader was furious because he had once again experienced the shamelessness of these people. At first, he thought that Zack's actions were just his own personal wishes. Now it seemed that it was related to Lei Chi. After Zichen left, everyone sat together and ate the dishes that were originally prepared for Zichen. "That guy is too arrogant." One of the people present had a face full of anger. The others' expressions were also very ugly. "He's only relying on the headquarters. Otherwise, he would have to kneel when he sees me," Zack said coldly. "The last time I mentioned the word alliance, he was so scared that he gave me all the Pure Land cores, not daring to leave a single one behind. To put it bluntly, he's just a coward who bullies others. Sir, what should we do now?" Everyone looked at Lei Chi. "He was the boss here," Lei Chi said. "What's the hurry? Speaking of which, he's just a second-level destroyer. We need to restrain ourselves here, but only here." Everyone nodded when they heard that, understanding what Lei Chi meant. "When we leave this place, I will definitely chop off his head." Zack snorted coldly, then took a big bite of the dish. Zichen found an inn to stay in and booked 2 rooms. After returning to his room, Zichen took out a level 3 law crystal and started refining it. No matter what, strength was the foundation. Vader was a little bored, so he left the inn and wandered around the streets. Compared to Zichen, he was not diligent in his cultivation. The last time he was in Zichen's Pure Land world, he just happened to have a breakthrough. When night fell, the blood moon appeared, and the world was deathly silent. As Zichen stayed in the room, he could clearly sense that the flow of the energy of heaven and earth was being obstructed. Compared to the 10,000 spirits Pure Lands formation, the strange Thunder Pure Lands formation was much weaker. During these few days, Zichen did not take a single step out of the inn. Other than cultivating, he was also unwilling to cause trouble. Who knew what evil intentions those people harbored in their hearts? 5 days later, Zichen consumed 50 magic crystals. If others knew about this, they would definitely be heartbroken. It was better to save as much as possible. Who would refine it all day long? After walking out of the inn, before going deeper, Zichen saw Lei Chi and the others. Sweeping his gaze, there were a total of 23 people. Vader followed behind Zichen, ready to go. Zichen turned to look at Vader and said, You don't have to follow me. He had already sensed that the weakest of these people was at the spell destroyer realm. Vader was just a spiritual practitioner. If he went, he would die. Vader immediately said, I'm just going to take a look at the boneyard. I won't go deep. Stay, Zichen said again, looking at Vader. Vader felt Zichen's will and did not insist. He nodded. He also knew that his master would most likely be in danger when he went out this time. He originally thought that by following his master, they would be able to take care of each other. However, his master clearly did not think so. Looking at Vader turning back, Zichen said, We can go now. Under Lei Chi's lead, the group left the Pure Land and walked towards the boneyard. It was said that it would take more than 10 days. After leaving the Pure Land, everyone looked at Zichen with increasingly unbridled eyes. Zichen did not care at all. He took out a piece of level 3 magic crystal and refined it as he walked. This scene made many people's eyelids twitch. These were their belongings, yet Zichen was wasting them like this. Zack's eyes were burning with anger. Lei Chi laughed. Zichen, this kind of magic crystal is not easy to obtain. It's a little sloppy for you to refine it like this. Zichen also smiled in response. It's fine. There's still a lot left. I just don't know if I can advance to the 3rd degree realm after refining all of them. This sentence attracted a lot of hatred. 500 pieces of 3rd level crystals, even a pig could be sent to the 3rd degree realm. If it was not for the people beside him stopping him, Zack would have attacked. Among these 500 pieces of magic crystals, 50 of them were refined by him, which accounted for 1/10. Lei Chi's face revealed an awkward smile. At that moment, he was actually in a dilemma. If they killed Zichen now, once the news leaked out, they would be in trouble. But if they waited until they reached the boneyard, Zichen could possibly waste all the magic crystals. What was the use of killing him then? Sir, don't be rash. Be careful not to fall into Zichen's trap. Just at this moment, a voice was heard. It was the steward beside him. He had always been calm and steady. The huge Pure Land was also managed by him. Even if he wastes all the magic crystals, we can still kill him to vent our anger. At most, we will lose some resources. It's better than the headquarters finding out and sending us to our deaths. Hearing the other party's voice, Lei Chi nodded and did not say anything more. As they moved forward, the others were chatting and laughing. Zichen was isolated. No one bothered about him. And Zichen was happy as well. After refining the magic crystal, he took out another piece to refine. This process repeated. And every time they saw Zichen take out a magic crystal, their eyelids would twitch. Every time Zichen took out a magic crystal, the hatred in their hearts would intensify. A journey that would take more than 10 days only took 8 days under the support of this hatred. The boneyard was an ancient battlefield. The surroundings were desolate, and countless tall bones were the main theme here. A strong wind blew past, shaking the bones, but they did not turn into nothingness. In fact, Zichen even saw some bones emitting light among them. This surprised him because those lights were the light of law that could be used for cultivation. Outside his Pure Land, there were many people living underground, fighting to the death for a single light of law. Why didn't those people come here? The light of law could be seen almost everywhere. Just as Zichen's heart was filled with confusion, there was suddenly a surge of killing intent behind him. The entities who had accumulated a lot of anger surrounded him. Zack's eyes were almost spewing fire. Zichen, I will tear you into pieces. Chapter 5260. Everyone surrounded Zichen, wanting to settle old scores. Zack's eyes were about to spit fire. As a level 3 enforcer, he could not stand Zichen any longer. Along the way, watching Zichen refine the law crystal, he had the thought of making a move on him several times. Zichen looked at everyone and said, Everyone, what's the meaning of this? Naturally, it's to kill you, Zack said coldly. Since they were already here, there was no need to hide anymore. Exploring was one of their reasons for coming here, and killing Zichen was another. Zichen said in surprise. Kill me? Why? Aren't we here to scout the way? Are you really stupid or pretending to be stupid? Zack took a step forward and said coldly. The moment you took the law crystal, you were destined to die. Zichen said again. Isn't this compensation from the headquarters? Still playing dumb with us? Zack's aura surged and he was about to attack. You don't know what kind of trash you are. At this moment, Lei Qi suddenly said, Wait. Everyone looked at Lei Qi. Lei Qi said, Don't forget our mission. Everyone was stunned when they heard that. Didn't they say they were going to kill this guy when they reached here? They had endured all the way and were a few days ahead of schedule for this. Let's go inside and take a look first. Lei Qi pointed to the depths. See if we can find anything. The mission comes first. Everyone obviously listened to Lei Qi. Although they did not know why they had to let Zichen go, they all did as they were told. Everyone restrained their killing intent but did not immediately go forward. Instead, they looked at Zichen. The meaning was clear. He had to walk in front. Zichen did not say much and walked straight ahead. When he passed by a skeleton, Zichen kicked it lightly. The skeleton scattered on the ground but did not turn into dust. One of the light spots fell. Zichen bent down and picked it up. It was indeed law light. He was very surprised. He looked around and saw many law lights. However, there were so many law lights here. Why did no one else come here? He picked up another bone and found that it was very sturdy. After polishing it, it could be used as a weapon. How could this be? Just as Zichen stood up and looked around, a voice suddenly rang out. Suddenly, a strong wind appeared. Without any warning, it engulfed everyone. Zichen's body swayed slightly as he lost control of himself. A strong wind swept through the area, and the bones in the surroundings began to sway. Then cracking sounds could be heard. Zichen's soul power extended outwards. There seemed to be a strange power within this gale that could take away lives. He was at the extermination realm, so he could easily deal with it. However, if it was a spell, it would be tough. No wonder there were no ordinary people here. It was almost impossible for them to survive here. When the wind passed, one of them cursed. This evil wind is indeed strange. No wonder no one comes to this place. Next, the group continued to venture deeper. During this time, evil winds constantly appeared. The others stood behind Zichen, keeping an eye on him. Zichen was well aware of everyone's intentions. It was nothing more than using him as cannon fodder. Where are we going? Zichen asked. Since they were here, they had to have a goal. I told you to go, so hurry up and go. What's with all the nonsense? Zack's voice sounded out. Lei Qi stopped pretending too, so he could not be bothered with Zichen. Zichen took out a piece of law crystal and continued to refine it. The chill in the surroundings immediately became several degrees thicker. You damn it! Hurry up and take out the law crystal. Zack could not hold it in anymore. If this continued, Zichen would waste all the law crystals. Every time he used one, he could not wait to be extra careful and cautious. However, Zichen directly refined it. The others might not have anything, but all of his belongings were with Zichen. Zichen glanced at Zack, a hint of disdain flashing across his eyes. Where are we going? I told you to hand over the law crystal. Did you hear me? Zack stared at Zichen, his eyes filled with killing intent. Zichen said disdainfully, With just you? You're courting death. Zack was infuriated as he ignored Lei Qi's words and charged towards Zichen directly. Zichen's lips curled into a cold smile. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Facing Zack's attack, instead of retreating, he advanced and punched out. 1. A seal appeared in front of the fist. The power of this punch was magnified infinitely. By the side, the other's expressions changed slightly. Arrays were so handy, it showed that his attainments were very high. Boom! A powerful energy vibrated and third stage realm Zack flew out. Following that, a ray of light flew past swiftly. Zack's body crashed heavily onto the ground. Everyone was shocked as they did not expect the difference between them to be so obvious. Almost at the same time, they all looked towards Zack. Zack, who had fallen onto the ground, was not moving at all. As a gust of wind blew past, his body disintegrated. Everyone's expression changed. Was he dead? Zichen was merely in the second stage realm. How could he possibly have such powerful battle power? Everyone's faces were filled with disbelief. But when they turned their heads back, they discovered that Zichen had already disappeared. He ran away. Someone shouted. At this moment, Zichen was running towards the depths. Damn it, kill him! Someone roared and ran forward. But there were at least 5 people who rushed towards the dead Zack. Because Zack was dead, he left behind the law crystal and all his wealth. These 5 people's movements were almost uniform. They looked at each other and felt a little awkward. What are you all doing? Lei Chi's voice rang out. Zack is our brother. Since something happened to him, we should avenge him. Lei Chi walked forward and kept Zack's bones and the law crystal. Zack is dead, but he still has family. The 5 people's expressions became more and more awkward. After looking at each other, they turned around and charged towards Zichen. At this moment, Zichen was running towards the depths. During this period, his soul power spread out as he observed those people behind him. They were about to catch up. A murderous intent flashed past Zichen's eyes. He did not mind grinding them to death one by one. At this moment, Zichen sensed traces of mantis demons. There were quite a number of them. Beside the mantis demons, the space was distorted as if a spatial door was about to be opened by force. Pure land? Zichen's expression changed slightly, and then he went straight forward. It should not be a coincidence that mantis demons appeared here. Perhaps it was related to his mission this time. So after hesitating for a moment, Zichen decided to go to the Pure Land first and ignore these people for the time being. Because Okon said that there were many resources in the newly discovered Pure Land. Zichen flew forward at lightning speed, leaving everyone behind him. In his perception, the mantis demons were working together to open up the Pure Land. Buzz. Tyrannical fluctuations spread out in all directions. The Pure Land was opened. At this moment, Zichen had also arrived in front. Some mantis demons noticed his existence and immediately roared. Spirit race. The other mantis demons turned around and stared coldly at Zichen. Zichen's speed did not decrease at all as he continued charging forward. You're courting death. The auras around the mantis demons surged. The weakest one was at the 4th level of the Law Destruction realm. Their expressions were indifferent as they watched Zichen approach. At this moment, Zichen was in a dilemma. There were mantis demons blocking the way in front, and Lei Chi and the others were chasing after him. It seemed that Zichen was about to be attacked from both sides. A Dharma seal suddenly appeared under Zichen's feet. The Dharma seal shone and turned into a Dharma array. Infinite light enveloped Zichen's body. In the next moment, Zichen disappeared with the Dharma array. The mantis demons were stunned. By the time they reacted, Zichen was already behind them. Chapter 52-61. The hybrid demons blocking the way were all stunned. Lei Chi and the others, who were chasing closely behind, were also stunned. This guy actually used the teleportation jade talisman, Lei Chi said in surprise. Isn't that too generous? A hint of annoyance flashed in the eyes of the others. As far as they knew, only a precious jade talisman could achieve such an effect. There was no doubt that Zichen had used the jade talisman to resolve the pincer attack. If they had known that Zichen had such a jade talisman, they wouldn't have waited until now. They would have attacked long ago. They had miscalculated. Now, Zichen was only one step away from the entrance of the Pure Land. The hybrid demons roared angrily. This scene was beyond their expectations. Zichen smiled faintly and entered the Pure Land. Kill! Only then did the shouts behind him sound. The hybrid demons were crazy. They had worked so hard to open the Pure Land, but the spirit race had beaten them to it. How could they bear it? They didn't care about Lei Chi and the others behind them and charged in one by one. After entering the Pure Land, the first thing Zichen felt was abundant spiritual power. This gave him an illusion that he had come to the real immortal spell world. He looked around and saw towering ancient trees with luxuriant foliage. Zichen released his perception and soon found a place where rich spiritual power gathered. It was a spiritual flower that emitted a 7-colored light. Rare flowers and herbs were rare in the wasteland, even in the Pure Land. Zichen immediately turned into a ray of spiritual light and rushed forward. Boom! As soon as his figure moved, a powerful attack fell from above. A huge pit appeared where he was standing and smoke and dust billowed. The hybrid demons had charged in. Zichen glanced behind and didn't slow down. The moment he approached the spiritual flower, he reached out and was about to pick it. Swoosh! Suddenly, a ray of light flew out from the side and headed straight for Zichen like lightning. Zichen disappeared into thin air. When he reappeared, he was on the other side. He glanced at that streak of light. It was a small snake, but it was only the size of a palm. It was as fast as lightning. If he hadn't been on guard, he would have definitely fallen for it. Zichen reached out and grabbed the spirit flower. Then, he exerted his strength. The radiance on the spirit flower flowed, but it did not move at all. Such tenacity was beyond Zichen's expectations. He let out a low shout and exerted his strength a second time, wanting to uproot it. Buzz! At the same time, light appeared under Zichen's feet, forming a protective array. Pa! The little snake flew towards Zichen a second time, breaking through the barrier in an instant. However, Zichen had long since disappeared from Guardian and reappeared 100 jam away. Just now, with the protection of the spirit array, it was not a problem to block the attack of a third-grade Dharma destroyer. But unexpectedly, with just one move, it was penetrated by this little snake. You are courting death! An angry voice came from behind. The hybrid demons caught up. Zichen pulled out the spirit flower and put it into his mouth along with the soil. It immediately turned into pure spiritual energy and entered his body, including the little soil. Zichen continued to go deeper, and during this time, his soul power constantly searched his surroundings. This place was very big, and the rich spiritual energy gave people the illusion that they had come to the real immortal world. After Lei Qi and the others came in, they were also stunned. They had never seen such a pure land. Lei Qi said excitedly, Maybe it's even higher than the Alliance's level 8 pure land. After entering this place, they couldn't care less about Zichen. Because Zichen only went in one direction. This place was so big, and there were other places with opportunities. Sir, should we report this to the Alliance? At this moment, a person behind said. Lei Qi turned around and glanced at the other party. The person next to him immediately reprimanded. Is there something wrong with your brain? If we tell the Alliance about such a place of opportunity, what will we do? The others also looked at him as if he was an idiot. At this time, he was still thinking about the Alliance. His head must have been squeezed by the door. Lei Qi waved his hand and said, Everyone, be careful. At this moment, a spiritual herb appeared in his perception. He couldn't wait any longer. Everyone spread out. Those mantis demons chased after Zichen for a long time, but they couldn't catch up. Thus, one by one, they gave up midway. This place was very big and there were many opportunities. There was no need to waste energy on one person. However, compared to Lei Qi and the others who only cared about themselves, the mantis demons sent someone out to report. There were no more pursuers behind him. Next, Zichen only needed to pay attention to the opportunities and the dangers of this place. His soul power expanded to its greatest extent. The spiritual energy contained in the spiritual flower from before surged in his body. It contained more energy than a level 3 law crystal. The spiritual energy was constantly refined in his body, strengthening the core of his power. Following that, Zichen made another discovery. Spiritual flowers, they were still spiritual flowers. Beside the spiritual flowers, there was a small snake guarding them. Zichen had already noticed it, so he was able to easily avoid it. Of the more than 20 people that Lei Qi had brought, 2 had already died to this small snake. The small snake's attack was very strong, and it could break through all of Zichen's defenses in an instant. Once the other party got close, it would probably pierce through his body. Therefore, Zichen was especially careful as he advanced. He went deeper into the forest. The mantis demons and the spirit race had also separated and were searching for their own opportunities. At the moment, they didn't disturb each other. Roar! Suddenly, an angry roar came from the side, and the entire forest began to shake. The moment the sound wave came, Zichen's ears also buzzed. Following that, the air waves rolled and a powerful aura surged over. Looking at the rolling air waves, Zichen's expression changed and he began to retreat. In his perception, there was a dangerous aura approaching. A black panther with a single horn was darting out of the forest. Like a black light, it collided with a mantis demon. That mantis demon was at the 4th level of the law destruction realm. Bang! His body flew backward and he couldn't block it at all. Then, the black panther turned into a stream of light and bit the other party's body. With a miserable cry, the black panther, which was more than 30 feet in size, swallowed the mantis demon in a few mouthfuls. 5,000 feet away, Zichen's soul power extended and saw all of this. A look of shock appeared on his face. A 4th level law destruction realm cultivator died in just 2 moves. How strong was this black panther? Looking at the dense forest ahead, he had only just gone deep, and he actually encountered such a terrifying existence. What was in the depths? Zichen began to retreat, not daring to go any deeper. After all, he was only at the 2nd level of the law destruction realm. Suddenly, the black panther turned its head and looked in Zichen's direction. It should have discovered it. Zichen's expression changed again, and he accelerated his retreat. Swoosh! The black panther turned into a black light and charged straight at Zichen. The distance between the two sides was getting closer and closer. Moreover, the other party's speed was faster than Zichen's. 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet. Chapter 5262. The Black Panther was very fast. It was impossible for him to escape. Hum! Zichen stomped his feet. Light appeared in front of him, forming a shield. Layer after layer. Under his feet, spirit formations kept appearing. Zichen began to retreat. The Black Panther pounced forward. Its sharp claws landed on the shield, shattering it. Looking at the Black Panther that was close at hand, Zichen's eyes flashed with a cold light. He punched out. Hum! The power of the fist light began to increase. When the last shield was shattered, Zichen's fist also came quickly and smashed on the Black Panther's head. Boom! Energy fluctuations spread in all directions. A powerful force surged in all directions. Zichen only felt a powerful force coming through his fist. He was forced to retreat. The opponent's realm was estimated to be at level 6 of the Dharma Destroyer realm. Without the power of the Pure Land, Zichen still had a hard time fighting. The Black Panther landed and roared. Immediately, sand and rocks flew around. The fallen leaves were swept up. A powerful aura rushed toward him. Whoosh! A cold light flashed past. The Slaughter Spirit appeared. It was like a bolt of lightning that went straight to the Black Panther. The Black Panther in the air raised its front paw and blocked the Slaughter Spirit's attack path. With a poof, the Black Panther landed on the ground. There was a bloody wound on its front paw. That was all. Zichen's expression changed again. He did not expect the opponent's physical body to be so strong. He turned around and left. The Black Panther was not a match. However, the Black Panther obviously did not want to let Zichen go. It chased after him again. Zichen formed a seal with his hands. A magic array appeared in the air. The magic array extended about 100 feet in the sky, releasing a strong light. The Black Panther suddenly fell to the ground and rolled a few times. Its speed was affected. It was a gravity magic array. Roar! The Black Panther roared. A real ripple spread out, forming a terrifying impact. In the sky, The magic array distorted several times and collapsed. The Black Panther continued to chase. Seeing this, Zichen felt helpless. He could only form a second seal. At the same time, he changed his direction and went straight to where Lei Qi and the others were. They had more people, so they should be able to resist. On Zichen's legs, the seals of spirit arrays appeared. His speed suddenly increased. The Black Panther was blocked again and again. It roared angrily, and its eyes gradually turned blood red. Its speed actually increased again. Zichen's expression changed drastically. Fortunately, he wasn't too far away from Lei Qi and the others. "Scram! Don't come over!" Someone saw Zichen and immediately roared. When the others saw this, their expressions also changed. "Shua!" Of course, Zichen wouldn't stop. He increased his speed and rushed past the crowd. Following that, a gigantic formation appeared in the sky. It covered an area of 1,500 feet. Within this range of 1,500 feet, the heavens and earth were hazy, and boundless pressure filled the surroundings. Not only did the Black Panther slow down, but Lei Qi and the others were also affected. At this moment, they were under the same formation. "Damn it!" Lei Qi gritted his teeth and looked at the Black Panther not far away. He felt a little regretful. If he had known this would happen, he would have killed Zichen as soon as he arrived. In the Black Panther's vision, Zichen had already disappeared. Its gaze naturally shifted and fell on the others. "Damn it!" Lei Qi cursed again and then shouted. "Let's work together and kill it!" He had already sensed the Black Panther's murderous intent. If he ran now, he would definitely be killed one by one. The others were also furious. They couldn't wait to cut Zichen into pieces. However, if they wanted to cause trouble for Zichen, they had to at least take care of the Black Panther. Hum! The formation in the sky disappeared, and so did the gravity that filled the surroundings. Roar! The Black Panther roared and charged toward a level 3 Dharma destroyer. Lei Qi and the others also charged toward the Black Panther. A great battle broke out. Zichen changed his direction again and continued to go deeper after getting rid of the calamity. Not long after, he found another spiritual herb. He took it and went deeper. However, this time, he was much more careful. Even so, he still encountered a green wolf. Judging by its aura, the other party should not be as powerful as the Black Panther from before. At this moment, it was blocking his path. Zichen wanted to take a gamble. The green wolf charged forward. The surrounding space suddenly distorted, and then countless sharp blades appeared in front of him, heading straight for Zichen. Zichen was stunned. He hadn't used the formation seal yet, but the other party attacked first. Obviously, this was a spell attack, similar to a divine power. The formation appeared in front of him, forming a light shield, blocking these sharp blades. After 3 breaths, the green wolf approached, and the shield shattered. Zichen punched the green wolf's head. He was knocked back a few steps, but the green wolf was also sent flying. This made Zichen even more certain that the other party's combat strength was not as good as the Black Panther's. He made a hand seal, and the gravity formation appeared again, stopping the green wolf for a moment. Just as its center of gravity was unstable, the slaughter spirit immediately flew out, accelerating 3 times in the process, and directly pierced the other party's eyes. Poof! It was completely penetrated. The slaughter spirit entered through the eye and flew out from the back of the head. The green wolf whimpered and fell to the ground, its body beginning to twitch. Zichen walked forward, took a look at the green wolf's corpse, and then kept it. Vader had told him that food was not easy to obtain here, because in the wasteland, even ancestral beasts with real flesh and blood would turn into bones after they died. Therefore, meat was obtained from some pure land worlds, and was very rare. This was also why Vader felt regretful that Lei Qi did not treat him to a meal last time. After killing the green wolf, Zichen continued to go deeper. This time, his harvest was even greater. The grade of the spirit herbs was also higher. This made him very excited, because if he continued to search, then it was not impossible for him to break through to the 3rd realm. The spiritual energy of the previous spirit flower had been exhausted, and Zichen swallowed a second one. He continued to go deeper. Not long after, Zichen found a second green wolf. With the help of the formation and the slaughter spirit, Zichen easily killed the other party. Once again, he kept the green wolf's corpse. This time, Zichen found a red spirit fruit, which contained an extremely strong spiritual energy fluctuation. And there were no ancestral beasts guarding nearby. Zichen went forward to pick the spirit fruit and sensed it again. The spiritual energy was very rich. He swallowed it directly. The spirit fruit melted in his mouth, and then turned into pure energy, which went straight to his limbs and bones. Then, Zichen found that this energy was mainly absorbed by the physical body. This fruit was an opportunity to strengthen the physical body. Ever since Zichen reached the 9 powers realm, his physical body had already reached a limit. Even when he broke through to the annihilation realm, his physical body did not become stronger. Until now. Zichen looked into the depths. Could it be that the opportunities here are targeted at the physical body? As the mantis demons had reported in advance, there were already mantis demons here. They were all strong, and the weakest was at the 6 powers realm.